Alrighty, let's get into it, shall we? Greetings and salutations, everyone. My name is Andrew Kirchhoff, and welcome to our Saturday afternoon live stream for Week 3 of the 2024 fantasy football season. Over the course of the next 2 hours, from 1 p.m. to 3 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, I'll be answering any and all fantasy football-related questions in regards to Week 3, whether they're start or sit, whether they're potential, waiver wire, pickup. Again, right down here, Cam Akers is probably a guy that if, in fact, you are in need of a running back, perhaps you've lost Joe Mixon due to this week's injury. Perhaps you've lost Isaiah Pacheco last week because of that injury. These are players that you can fill in and immediately find success. Additionally, if you have any questions regarding a potential trade, anything of that nature, please be sure that once you go ahead and type that in or send it in via Super Chat, you include your scoring format. The more context I have, whether it's a standard, half PPR, full PPR, the easier it'll be for me to answer the questions and continue on as such. What is the intro song? Dave's. The song's name is Double Helix. It's been a part of the channel for quite a while here. Thank you. Okay. So let's get into answering questions. Yeah, shall we? Again, earlier today, dropped the Hidden Gems video. If you guys are interested in checking that out, Cam Akers, Zamir White, Juwan Jennings, a lot of the players that we talked about last night in regards to potential, waiver wire pickups that could end up being pretty valuable going into this given week as startable options, considering many of us are dealing with injuries. Again, there are so many players that are out at great positions. Obviously George Kittle confirmed to be out. If you are in need of a tight end, that's going to be a little bit trickier based on the availability of some of these players. But again, there's guys like Brenton Strange out there that is still available that you could make a play on via the waivers. Okay, either way, let's go ahead and let's begin talking some of these questions. I know there were a couple super chats sent in, so I want to address those first and foremost. So let's go ahead and let's begin with the first question from Robert Jameson. Robert, thank you very much. It says, in a half PPR, can drop Freiermuth for either Strange or Ferguson. Okay, great. Let's pick up Ferguson and let's roll with him the rest of the season. Should I? And which of the ones? If so, Ingram is on my bench. So, okay, there you go. Yeah, cool. 100%, I'd be really comfortable going and getting Ferguson in this scenario. He plays against Baltimore. Baltimore's the third best matchup at the tight end position. That have allowed, 13 fantasy points per game in a half PPR thus far this season on average. So there's a pretty good situation here for Ferguson in a game in which, of course, the Dallas Cowboys need to try to string together a victory. If they don't, obviously a 1-2 start would be pretty rough for them. But either way, it's expected to be a pretty high scoring matchup between these two teams. And Ferguson is one of Dak Prescott's favorite red zone, target opportunity guys. So we'll look in that direction. Thank you very much. Appreciate it. Spencer P sends in a question. Says, Zamir White or Cam Akers in a PPR? Between the two of them, I'd probably just play Zamir White. Cam Akers is going to get opportunity, and he's probably going to be finding a good volume of success. I'm not saying that he's completely out of the realm of possibility of being a great play. I just think between the two of them, I'd rather take the running back that I know is going to get touches against quite literally the best matchup that you could possibly ask for all season long. You don't get these kind of opportunities every week. Therefore, in the case of Zamir White, I'm going to probably start him there. As for your flex, keep Cooper in the flex, as in Amari Cooper. In a full PPR against the Giants, the expectation is that he should perform well. Again, he has the 14th most targets amongst all wide receivers thus far this season. He's top 5 in air yards, but he only has 5 receptions, a 29% catch rate. Those numbers are going to increase. You're not going to have a wide receiver with a 29% catch rate all season long. It has never been heard of. It will go ahead and adjust itself, and it'll average out. I'm expecting him to be a solid play in the given week. So in a full PPR, I'd be willing to roll with him. Now, if you just want to go ahead and see it before you believe it with Deshaun Watson, then playing Akers is not a big deal there. I have no issue with that in the flex. I think they're both pretty solid plays within the given week, Spencer. Thank you. Justin sends in a question, says, Stevenson owner here. 0.3 points. Yeah, pretty rough. Am I screwed or what? Listen, it was okay. All right. Listen. We talked about this on Thursday. The New England Patriots came back down to earth. That is a fact of the matter. They were playing far out of their means in the first 2 weeks, having defeated the Cincinnati Bengals and having sent the Seattle Seahawks to overtime. They played out of their means. They were playing far better football than they really should have ever. But obviously it gives us an understanding as to the fact that the Cincinnati Bengals cannot stop the run, and quite frankly, neither can the Seattle Seahawks. So for those of you who have the potential of Brian Robinson Jr., Devon Achane this weekend, rejoice that there is a possibility that no matter who's starting at quarterback, Jacoby Brissett, Skylar Thompson, there's going to be a possibility where your running back's going to find themselves a lot of success within the given week. So, yeah, again, in this circumstance, are you screwed? No, he'll get better over time. Again, it's a really bad game across the board on all fronts for that offensively, the volume of 3 and outs, the volume of drives in which they had less than 20 yards and then had to punt was quite alarming. But it is what it is. We'll just have to keep rolling. Nick Walker sends in a question. Nick, thank you. Says, star wide receiver, St. Brown. Waddle, Marvin Harrison, Devontae Smith, Shaheed. Start wide receiver. Okay, so if I was just to put them in order, Nick, because I don't know how many of these players you can theoretically start, but if I was going to put it in order, the order at which I would start them this week is St. Brown number 1, Devontae Smith number 2, Marvin Harrison Jr. number 3, Shaheed number 4, and Waddle number 5. Thank you, Nick. Appreciate it. Jeff Whitfield sends it a question. Thank you, Jeff. Jeff says, I need a flex, Pollard versus the Green Bay Packers, or ride with the hot hand of Neighbors versus Cleveland. No, I'd much rather roll with Pollard. I think Pollard honestly has a hot hand of sorts in his own right. Based on the volume of opportunity that he has been granted over the course of the last 2 weeks, his efficiency with those opportunities, and on top of the fact that they're taking on the Green Bay Packers, in terms of rushing yards allowed thus far this season, they've been torched by Philadelphia in week 1 and Indianapolis in week 2. Now, I understand both of those offensive lines are elite in their own nature within the running back, the run blocking category, but Tony Pollard has been, honestly, behind a pretty solid offensive line in regards to the overall blocking scheme and how they've performed thus far this season, despite the difficult matchups they have taken on. So altogether, I'm pretty confident rolling with Pollard there. Neighbors, again, he's got himself opportunity. But if I'm thinking about this objectively, just like macro perspective, the Cleveland Browns quite literally have one job. Stop Neighbors, because the rest of the offense is a non-functioning form. So if you can stop Neighbors, double cover him, bracket him, do anything you can, put a safety over the top in every single scenario, keep somebody, press man on him so he can run these crossing routes over the middle. If you could just literally shut him down and let the rest of the team try to beat you, you're going to win the game. And that's probably what they're going to do. Thank you. Okay, Nick Walker had a follow-up question regarding starting defense for this week. San Francisco, Las Vegas, Green Bay, or Chicago. Let me check my Patreon rankings as to what I had it earlier this week. I need to go to my Google Sheets. Let's go to Patreon rankings. Okay. So if we scroll over, San Francisco is up there. It's pretty high up there. As for the other defenses that you just mentioned, Las Vegas, Green Bay, Chicago. So Las Vegas is there. Green Bay there is okay. So this is the way I have it ordered as of it, as it currently stands. San Francisco 1, Las Vegas Raiders 2, Chicago Bears 3, Green Bay Packers 4. That would be the order. You could play it in any which way you want. Obviously, if you have San Francisco and you want to continue to hold San Francisco and not have to pick up another defense and go pick up somebody else that you could potentially, pick up off the waivers, hold on your bench, see if they perform. If they don't, you drop them anyway. Or potentially pick up another defense in preparation for next week, like figuring out who's going to play the Carolina Panthers or who's going to be taking on the Denver Broncos and take advantage of that. You could, but otherwise, yeah, for right now, San Francisco is the lead dog out of those potential defenses. Thank you, Nick. Appreciate it. AJ Wright sends in a question. Thank you, AJ. AJ says, in a PPR, trade away JK and McBride for Justin Jefferson. I have Ferguson. Am I okay giving away JK Dobbins and McBride for Justin Jefferson? Technically, yes. I'm okay with that. I don't have an issue with it. Obviously, you do mention that you have Ferguson. I'm curious as to what you have at running back depth and how that looks, but ultimately, without context, I'd still be willing to make this move. I think in the long run, even though I think J.K. Dobbins has played incredibly well, he's averaging 9.89 yards per carry. That is not a sustainable function in a season. He'll come back down to earth when he does, obviously, so will his fantasy points. McBride, again, a great tight end in his own right. I think he's obviously going to be significantly better than Ferguson. But getting a player like JJ is quite special. And if you could do it and you can sustain the running back loss, I'd have no issue with that. Thank you. Okay, I'm Gucci. Sends in a question. Says, in a PPR, start 3. We have Pollard, Brian Robinson, Moss, Mason, and Dell. Yeah, out of the group, I think I'm just going to play the studs. Mason, as in Jordan Mason. Pollard, as in Tony Pollard. And B-Rob, as in Brian Robinson Jr. Those are the 3 that I would roll with this week. I think I'm very comfortable in doing so. I could justify the idea of playing Zach Moss over Brian Robinson, but ultimately Brian Robinson's been playing incredibly well. Cincinnati's run stop defense, as of thus far this season, relatively non-existent. So I'll go ahead and lean in those 3 directions of running back. As for your follow-up question in a 10-team league is, okay, let's see here. Your 10 team is Harrison, Christian McCaffrey, Kyler, Olave, Laporta, Kupp, and Pollard for, and Kupp. Kupp and Pollard for Chase. Do I want to give away Kupp and Pollard for just Chase, considering you have... No, I probably would keep it as is. As it currently stands, look like Kupp's going to come back at latest, maybe one more week from now, so maybe week 5. And then at that point, you'll have Kupp that, again, is going to be... I mean, from what we saw in week 1, obviously it was without Puka, but we know that Kupp is going to be great this year. And giving away Pollard's depth when you don't have... Well, actually, you do have McCaffrey and Mason. No, I honestly, I want to keep this running back depth. I do. I'd probably keep what you have. I don't think you need to move on it. Thank you, Gucci. All right, we had a question that came in from JBeats14, who says, in a half PPR flex, Akers, Ford, Thielen, or Najee Harris. In a half PPR flex of those potential options, I have Akers ranked the highest. So that's the direction I would go in this week. Thank you. Mad Max sends in a question, says Metcalf versus London, full PPR. Okay, so Metcalf versus London. Miami's backup quarterback equals no points. Falcons on Sunday Night Football, big stage, thoughts. Yeah, look, at this point, between the two of them, I trust DK Metcalf more. I trust his target opportunity more. It quite literally took Saquon Barkley dropping that pass on third down in order for the Falcons to make a drive to make London relevant. So between those two options, I'd lean in the direction of playing DK Metcalf this weekend. Thank you. Paul Adams sends in a question, says, what's your thoughts on Hunt and what to do? What do you think about DJ Moore and Swift? If I have to, okay, let's start with the first question. Thoughts on Hunt. Kareem Hunt, again, is going to be elevated next week. Obviously, thus far this week, they've already said, the running backs coach said he's still got it. We just need a little bit more time with him. Andy Reid said the same thing. They're just going to kind of get him into a full game shape, condition him so that by the time he takes the field, there's no kind of like cobwebs that he has to work off. So they're still trying to get him into a full flex, position. Now, obviously, it's because he's coming off the couch. I'm sure he is in shape, but he's obviously not in game shape. So they'll get him into a position by next week. Obviously, we'll see. Now, if somebody in that backfield for the Kansas City Chiefs has themselves an explosive game, let's say, for example, Carson Steele runs for 150 rushing yards, right? That will deter the potential upside of Kareem Hunt in the future weeks, but we're not anticipating that kind of a level of production from him or Samaje Perine. So depending on how that goes, Hunt, again, is still going to be very much so integrated within that rotation starting next week. As for DJ Moore and DeAndre Swift, you have both of them. Don't know what to do with them. DeAndre Swift would require a pretty big performance upcoming here for him to gain any sort of value to move in a trade. So you're probably holding on to him until he somehow, retains some sort of consistency so you could perhaps move him. Ultimately, Caleb Williams is deteriorating this offense. Their offensive line cannot pass block, and their offensive line is really just in the running game irrelevant. So in this situation, Swift just kind of has to sit on your bench and just collect dust until further notice. DJ Moore, on the other hand, in the absence of Keenan Allen, he still has value. We just have to hope for him to, at least for this offense, to be in scoring situations so that maybe he can get a red zone opportunity that could lead to a touchdown. Otherwise, 10 targets, 6 catches last week. I'm not upset about that. Obviously, the yardage is in there, very similar to Terry McLaurin. Again, these rookie quarterbacks not really doing their wide receivers much justice thus far. But again, as we progress, they'll get more momentum. All right, Glizzy sends in a question. Thank you, Glizzy. Says, I'm concerned about my running back depth. In a full PPR, should I make a trade? I have Bijan Robinson, Najee Harris, DeAndre Swift, and Kareem Hunt. My wide receivers consist of Jamar, Garrett, Michael Pittman Jr. My quarterback is Josh Allen. Okay, so in regards to your running back depth, obviously, yes, objectively, it is not looking great as it currently stands. Bijan Robinson is trying to hold up this entire backfield for you with his, with his two hands and on his back. So in this scenario, the only thing that I could theoretically suggest, if you want to right now make a move without waiting for Najee Harris, Swift to potentially make a uptick of a performance so that you can maybe move them for an exchange for another running back, would be to probably take you'd probably have to take Josh Allen and break him off for a downgraded quarterback and another running back piece. So you'd have to be like, hey, I'm taking Josh Allen. I'm going to get Patrick Mahomes and Tony Pollard and see if that works. You know what I mean? That's the kind of trade that you theoretically have to make at this point in order to get some recouped value there. You'd have to take your most valuable piece. That's not one of these wide receivers, which would be Josh Allen. Get a quarterback, get a running back in exchange, and try to go for him there. Now, that's, again, whether you want to break off Josh Allen, because, again, he is, the best quarterback at the position in fantasy. So it's definitely a tough decision to make. But if you want to, that would be the best plan of action. All right. Rob Monahan sends in a question. Thank you, Rob. Appreciate it. Rob says, in a 14-team PPR, I dominated week 1, got slaughtered in week 2. Yep, join the club, brother. Join the club. My team is Richardson, Ford, Akers, Chase, Evans, Laporta, Jennings, Buccaneers defense, and Bates. I'm assuming Bates is the Lions kicker. Bench consists of Dowdle, McLaurin, Mixon, Shakir, Steele. What else do you have here? Warren, Brooks. Future moves. Look, as it currently stands, so your running backs are absolutely decimated. Ford can't be started in future weeks. Ford's going to be a tough one. Yeah, so in your scenario, you don't really have much running back depth, right? So you took Mixon in your draft, and then the running back depth afterward is Ford as your RB2, which is really tough as of right now based on the Deontay Foreman kind of increase of opportunity and overall rushing shares in that backfield, which I didn't see coming anytime soon. But either way, you have Steele, you have some other options theoretically here. You have Jonathan Brooks coming back in a couple weeks. So as it currently stands, the only way, very similar to the last team, because I don't want to move Chase, I don't want to move Evans. Laporta's probably has to stay because, again, if you were to sell him now, you'd be selling pennies on a dollar. You'd have to take, Anthony Richardson, break him, go get a lesser quarterback and an upgraded running back too. Or in this case, try to get a running back 1 just straight up and go pick up a quarterback off of waivers and just roll with like Geno rest season. But you're playing a 14-team league, so there's a high unlikelihood that is available. So yeah, in your scenario, again, 14-team league, quarterback would have to be broken off for a downgraded one and the potential running back. Outside of that, you don't have enough wide receiver depth in terms of consistent options to be able to fill in for Chase Evans if you move them outright. So yeah, it would have to be the quarterback breakoff or the Laporta breakoff, but Laporta would have to be done in a future week after he has himself a solid performance so that people aren't thinking, oh, Laporta is just a one-year wonder, Thank you, Rob. Noah sends it a question, says, wide receivers are Marvin Harrison, Rashee Rice, Metcalf, Diggs, Watson. Running backs are Pollard, Rashad White, Kenneth Walker, Charbonnet, Dobbins. Okay, very well. And Jonathan Brooks. I have Hurts and Ferguson as my quarterback tight end combo. It's a half PPR. Who should I trade / upgrade? Yeah, look, as it currently stands, Marvin Harrison, Rice, Metcalf don't need to move. Diggs and Watson are technically your kind of pivoting options that could end up getting shipped off if you find a proper trade. Considering you have Pollard, Rashad White, Kenneth Walker, Charbonnet, and Dobbins as well, I'm looking to probably take Dobbins and Diggs and ship them both in order to bring back, if anything, an upgraded running back. If not that, maybe a stud tight end. You could end up getting away with maybe sending Ferguson and Dobbins and going and getting somebody at the higher tiers. I mean, again, the ability to buy low potentially on Laporta, Kelsey is still available out there. I still think that McBride is someone that I'm absolutely trying to go after. So in these kind of scenarios, that would be a potential pivoting option if you can't move Diggs and Dobbins for a running back or a wide receiver, which quite frankly, you don't need a wide receiver. You'd probably just take Dobbins and Diggs and try to go buy low on a running back theoretically. You very much, you could even hear me out. You could take Rashad White and Dobbins and be like, all right, Bijan Robinson, come on home. You could take 2 running backs of this kind of caliber and just go after one of the big dogs and see if you can bring them home. Thank you. Valorman sends in a question. Valorman says, drop Jerome Ford or Mostert for Charbonnet. In a full PPR, I have Baker as my starting quarterback. Bench consists of Jordan Love, Raheem Mostert, Jordan. Okay, got it. Okay, so you got a lot of injuries. Understood. So in this circumstance, Valorman, I would probably, if you're looking for a running back start for this week, I'd be very comfortable dropping Mostert, picking up Charbonnet, and putting him in your starting lineup in the absence of Mixon. And if, in fact, you don't have an absence of running back, perhaps putting him in the flex could be the best medicine for you in this given week in order to kind of heal from all the Mixon, A.J. Brown, Jordan Love issues that you've had thus far this season, which again are unfortunate, but Jordan Love is getting, he's getting there. Probably next week ends up being the starter. Hopefully he suits up on Sunday. We'll have to wait and see though. But as of right now, I'd be comfortable moving Mostert in this scenario. QB Sports Mage says in a half PPR, I traded J.K. Dobbins, Ertz, 20 fab for Bowers. Yeah, that's great. I have no issue with that. My running backs are Achane and Kamara. Win or loss? I think that's a win. Again, if Bowers maintains any sort of his value that he has produced thus far, and he is in that same kind of conversation every single week of being a 10-point tight end, and that's even without touchdowns, I mean, the volume of production that he's going to be able to accumulate over the course of this year is going to be far more worth whatever you just gave up. So I'm all for it. As for your follow-up question there, QB, you said flex 2, Brian Robinson, Foreman, Adunze, Josh Downs, Reed, or Whittington. Yeah, as it currently stands, Brian Robinson has to start in this scenario. Reed would only get the start in my book if Jordan Love is somehow, some way available and active tomorrow. I know that they didn't downgrade him to inactive yet, so that's a promising sign. There's maybe a possibility that there's an outside chance that he could end up suiting up. But if in fact he does not, You would then be probably playing in this scenario 2 flex, half PPR. I want to probably play Brian Robinson and Foreman there just to be safe. Thank you. Leo sends in a question. Leo says in a 14-team PPR, drop Hunt, Dobbs, or Kirk for Akers. Between the three, I'd probably drop Romeo Dobbs. Yeah, I'd be pretty comfortable doing so. And then at that point, just playing Akers in this given week. Thank you. Trinity Vincent sends in a question, says flex spot, Higgins or Hubbard? Nervous for Higgins. Yeah, listen, I can understand the nervousness per se, because again, it would be his first game of the season. He's coming off of a hamstring. Maybe he doesn't play 100% of the snaps. He's going to be at a limited capacity. That could all very easily take place. If you want to play Hubbard just to be safe, I have no issue with it. Again, the Raiders' run-stop defense is non-existent, so Hubbard should also have himself a top 30 week at the running back position. Higgins, again, should be a solid start for wide receivers. I've obviously not moved him up very much from where I've had him on Thursday's wide receiver rankings video in regards to being like a lower end wide receiver 2. I still have him within that range just to be safe. But yeah, if you're nervous about it, just roll with Hubbard. I don't have an issue with that at all. Thank you. Eric sends in a question. Says in a half PPR, Deontay Johnson or Scary Terry or Ford or Brian Robinson Jr. Yeah, we'll take Brian Robinson out of the group there in a half PPR. Thank you, Eric. I appreciate it. Or Eric. Paul Adam has a follow-up, says, my team's quarterback is Anthony Richardson. My wide receiver 1 is JJ. Wide receiver 2 is DJ Moore. Running back 1 is Kyron. Running back 2 is Swift. Tight ends Laporta. Flex Shakir. Bench is Deontay Johnson, Eckler, Josh Downs, Kareem Hunt, IR is Hawkinson, and Bourne. Who do I start? Look, as it currently stands, I don't think you've made a mistake in terms of who you're... Actually, I could justify playing Eckler over Swift. Eckler's been decent. In a half PPR, he's put up like 8 and 10 fantasy points the last 2 weeks. So in a full PPR, that'd be probably like 10 and 12. So I could definitely justify playing Eckler over Swift just to get the solidified points in that scenario. But again, Indianapolis's defense has not played well at all this season. So I'm very comfortable rolling with Swift at the RB2. Shakir in the flex is perfectly fine within that given matchup. But if it was me, I'd probably roll with either Eckler or Deontay Johnson there. Let me see who I've ranked higher. What's the format again? Is it a half PPR? My team, Yeah, it doesn't really say anything about format. Let me go up to Paul Adams' first question. Does it say format? No format. Okay. So let's just assume it's half PPR just to meet you in the middle. So in this scenario, if we did check, oh, that's not what I wanted to do. Eckler. So if Eckler there, I have Deontay Johnson there. Yeah, I'd go with Deontay Johnson in that flex probably over Shakir. Thank you. All right. Michael Della Villa sends out a question. Thank you, Michael. Says, non-PPR, start Ford or T. Higgins in the flex? All right, that's a really good question. Look, in this circumstance, if Ford was to once again take over the starting running back role and get himself the vast majority of rushing attempts, I would have no issue saying, yeah, he's got to be the automatic start against the Giants because of how great of a matchup it is. But I cannot guarantee that will in fact be the case. And considering the usage of Deontay Foreman last week, I'm going to trend towards the idea that it's probably not going to happen again, or that it probably will happen again, and they probably will use more Deontay Foreman. So I'll probably lean in the direction of playing Higgins there. Thank you. Rusty Wright says, in a half PPR, Worthy or Rome? Yeah, I cannot play Rome. Rome is injured, and not only that, yeah, he just hasn't done anything. Like, he doesn't get enough target opportunity for me to be confident in his usage. Rusty follows up by saying, I think Rome eats versus Indianapolis zone defense. There's a possibility, but quite frankly, that is very much so determined by the quarterback. And if I was going to trust one of the two quarterbacks over one another, I'm going to trust that Patrick Mahomes, without a running game this week, is more inclined to feed the ball in the direction of Worthy rather than Rome, who, again, struggles to get targets, much less a matter of whether it's going to go against zone defense, man defense, doesn't really matter. He just doesn't get targets because, unfortunately, this quarterback sits in the pocket for about a half a second and then somebody's in his face. All right, Shane Howard says in a question, says, hey, Andrew, in a full PPR, Gesicki, Ertz, Parkinson, or Freiermuth? Also, if Gesicki is the pick, should I be worried about Higgins? Okay, so Gesicki has moved down, evidently, in the last 24 hours because of Higgins saying 100% that he's going to play on Monday. I don't mind Gesicki. Again, he had 9 targets on 26 routes ran. He got targeted on 40% of the routes that he ran. That is an unbelievable number. So I think he is still safe in this overall projection. But if it was me, I'd probably roll with Freiermuth number 1, Gesicki 2, Parkinson 3, I almost said Eric's, Ertz 4 in that order, Shane. Thank you. JK sends in a question, says full PPR, London or Higgins? Yeah, I'll still roll with London there. Thank you. Paul Adam has a follow-up, says, forgot to add defense is Dallas, and I added this week is the Raiders. Also got Butker. Yeah, you're good to go. That's fine. The Raiders defense is definitely going to play over the Dallas, and then Butker's again. Solid kicker every week. Ishmael Delgado sends in a question, says, thoughts on this trade? Laporta and Mike Evans for Jamar Chase. When I have Brock Bowers and Garrett Wilson and Zay Flowers. I think technically you may be giving up a bit much. Okay, so like theoretically, right? If I was just to think about this objectively in terms of like rounds that we selected these players in. Mike Evans is like a 3rd round pick. Laporta was a 4th round pick in a 12-team league, theoretically, right? So in this scenario, you're sending a 3rd and a 4th for a 1st. I could justify it, but that 1st round pick, Jamar Chase, has to clean house for the remainder of the season because otherwise you may be giving away a little bit too much in this scenario. I understand you've got a lot of wide receiver depth in terms of Garrett Wilson, Zay Flowers, but in my opinion, I prefer to have Mike Evans rest season. So if you can somehow get away with sending Laporta with one of those 2 other wide receivers and keeping Evans, then I'd be more comfortable with it. But other than that, if this is something that you're going in on, so be it. Let's 2 thumbs up and let's hope that it pans out the way that we want it to. Obviously, having Brock Bowers as the backup is really the piece that it makes you confident in making this move. But yeah, if you can not give away Evans, that'd be preferred. Otherwise, I'm fine with it. Dark Child says, I need help in the flex, half PPR. Ford, Brian Thomas Jr. Neither. I mean, geez, Louise, I don't like that Buffalo defense. So in that scenario, I probably tell you to play Ford in a half PPR. Thank you. Anonymous says, half PPR, 1 running back, 2 wide receivers. Sorry, 1 running back, 2 flex. We have Javonte Williams, Ford, BTJ, Mooney, Dobbins, Downs. Got it. Of the available that you have, your running back start will be Javonte Williams. Your flex starts, in my opinion, as it currently stands, if I was to mess around with it a little bit, I'd probably go Javonte, BT, and a half PPR. Yeah, it's probably Javonte, BTJ, Ford. I don't want to play Downs on the first week. I don't want to play Dobbs without Jordan Love. And Mooney, again, I think I'll just give him another week to see what he's capable of, especially against Kansas City secondary. So it's probably Javonte, Ford, and BTJ. Jamar Joseph sends in a question, says, Waddle or Akers in a full PPR? Let me see where I had Mixon in comparison to Waddle in a full PPR, and I think that could give us a little bit of context. So I had Mixon ahead of Waddle in a full PPR. Even though I don't think that Akers is as good as Mixon, I think the volume of opportunity is sufficient enough. So I probably would play Akers in that scenario for this given week until we, of course, see what kind of Skylar Thompson is, sitting there in Miami, leading that offense. Nathan Ray sends in a question, says, AR, Jacobs, Brees, Pickens, Pittman, Worthy, Laporta, bench is Terry McLaurin, Shakir, Hunt, Baker, Pierce, and Brooks. I'm currently 0-2. What should I do? Trade or ride it out? Anthony Richardson, Jacobs. Okay, so Jacobs, Brees Hall, don't move. Anthony Richardson, you're fine. Pickens has played solid football, especially with Fields, especially last week. Again, Pickens, he could have very easily had himself 20 fantasy points. Just a lot of penalties, unfortunately. Pittman hasn't played well, but again, will get better. Same thing with Laporta. As for the rest of it, I'm not the biggest fan of Xavier Worthy in this scenario for rest of season, even though Marquise Hollywood-Brown probably doesn't play. But again, Patrick Mahomes is going to have to turn it around for Worthy to be a simply just valuable piece. Because again, if a guy like Kelsey's not getting the ball, I'd imagine that Xavier Worthy is probably not getting the ball. So in this scenario, how do we improve this team? Because when I look at your bench, you have Terry, Shakir, Hunt, Baker, Pierce. So really not much value. If you could somehow theoretically flip Baker and Pierce to someone who is unknowing of their legitimate value and get something out of them, that's probably your best plan of action. Now, again, it's requiring that you go after somebody that needs a quarterback in the form of Baker and wants to invest in that, and then we'll also just go ahead and take Pierce because he's put up great points, and they're thinking, oh, okay, well, that looks like a good player. Let's just go ahead and bring him. You know what I mean? Like, if you're playing with sharp players that have been around for a couple years here, and they know that Alec Pierce is just worth a pack of peanuts, then obviously you won't be able to take care of anything of that nature, and you just have to sit and write it out. Thank you. Horny Goat sends in a question, says in a pick 3 form, Sutton, Pickens, Adunze, Waddle, Coleman. Yeah, of those available, I will take Pickens number 1, Waddle 2, Sutton 3. Thank you, Horny Goat. Barry G sends in a question, says PPR 3 wide receivers in a flex. We have Coop, Jawan Johnson, Adunze, T. Higgins, Kirk, BTJ Akers. Got it. So of those available options, I'm going to suggest that you play Akers, Coop, T. Higgins. Thank you. Anthony Barrett sends in a question. Thank you, Anthony. Anthony says in a PPR, Thielen, McLaurin, or Jawan Jennings in the flex. Considering Kittle is now out, I'd feel really comfortable rolling with Jawan Jennings in that scenario. It'd probably go Jawan Jennings number 1, Thielen number 2, McLaurin number 3 in that order. Thank you. Damian sends in a question. Says, trade JK and Sharps for Jamar Chase and maybe Chubb. Yeah, let's do that. Absolutely. Are you kidding? That'd be a steal. Listen, I have no issue at all giving away a player of J.K. Dobbins' caliber right now for any wide receiver that in the preseason, like let's say, like if you went back to the preseason videos where it's like, oh, top 50 ranked wide receivers. If you get a top 15 wide receiver that was sitting there and you can give away J.K. Dobbins right now to get him, you should. And the fact that you're able to get Jamar Chase of all wide receivers, potentially, you should. Even if they don't give you Chubb, I'd make that deal. Thank you, Damien. Appreciate it. Eric L. sends in a question. Says, in a half PPR, pick 2 for the flex. We have Keon Coleman, Jaden Reed, and Wan'Dale Robinson. So, as it currently stands, considering all these scenarios, I don't love the idea of playing Jaden Reed in the absence of Jordan Love. Let me see here. I'm actually curious. Let's see. What is the deal with Jaden Reed's injury? Because I know he was on the injury report. So let's go injury reports. Where's Green Bay on my list? Green Bay Packers. Okay. So as of right now, Jaden Reed, limited practice even going into Friday. So that doesn't really help his cause either. On top of the fact that he's coming off a week in which he had 2 targets, 2 receptions. So of the available options, I'm probably going to go ahead and suggest playing Keon Coleman and Wan'Dale Robinson there, Eric. Thank you. Jay sends in a question. Says, I traded London, Montgomery, Shaheed for Amon-Ra, Moss, and Deontay Johnson. Did I make a bad choice? Question mark. Okay, so bad choice. Okay, look, you get a huge upgrade at wide receiver. Huge upgrade. Obviously, you bring in a top 3 wide receiver that's rest of season going to consistently play well in a PPR, half PPR format. You are in a full PPR, even better. So then it's just a matter of Montgomery compared to Zach Moss. I so prefer Montgomery to where I believe that Zach Moss eventually gets this job taken from him by Chase Brown. I wholeheartedly believe that is going to eventually take place. If Zach Moss continues his trend of inefficient rushing attempts, it is not going to pan out well for him because Chase Brown is a clear and away more talented receiving back. And if they're going to leave him on the field in those early downs and he's an even more efficient runner, potentially, then great. Now, if the offensive line's the issue, then so be it. They're both going to suffer. But yeah, I think it's a pretty big downgrade in terms of Monty down to Moss, but it's maybe even a bigger downgrade in comparison to Amon-Ra to London in my mind. And then Shaheed, Deontay Johnson, you're going to need a lot of help from Deontay Johnson. So Andy Dalton's going to have to save your weeks and maybe season. So ultimately right now I'm thinking, oof, this one might hurt. But again, all the marbles are in the Zach Moss, Deontay Johnson trade. And we got to hope, keep fingers crossed at this point. Did I make a bet? Okay. And then also, I already have Tyreek Hill, Nico Collins, Waddle, and K9 and Ramondre. So basically, you're saying that you don't really need the players that you gave away. You're just upgrading wide receiver. I see what you're saying. So technically, considering your depth of Tyreek Hill, Nico Collins, Amon-Ra, Waddle, Kenneth Walker, Ramondre Stevenson, you probably wouldn't even have started these other. Okay, I understand what you're saying. So technically, again, time will tell. Depth at running back is always something that is a bonus rather than a, something that you should be looking to give away for free. But in this scenario, fingers crossed, let's hope that Zach Moss and Deontay Johnson pick it up here. Go Bill says PPR Akers, Judy, or Reed. Yeah, between the 3 of them, if Love plays, I'd be interested in playing Reed. But again, Reed is still limited. He's still dealing with his injury. That is a sketchy overall approach. So of the 3 in a full PPR, I'd probably roll with Judy. If in fact Jordan Love does play, just for the hell of it, I'd throw Reed in there because I know he's the number 1. So it would go Reed, Judy, Akers in that order, full PPR. Thank you. Eric says, half PPR, Deontay Johnson, Scary Terry. Between the 2 of them this week, I'd rather play Deontay Johnson. Zishan Ali sends in a question, says, Zamir White or Pickens in the flex tomorrow? Depends on scoring format. If we're talking about a full PPR, I could probably justify playing Pickens there. If it's a half PPR standard, I think Zamir White would probably take it there. Thank you. Leo sends in a question, says in a PPR, I need a wide receiver and a flex. Robinson, Dell, Ford, Dowdle. Okay, so Robinson is very, it's all encompassing to every Robinson. Is it Wandale Robinson? Is it Brian Robinson? Like, which of the two? I'm gonna hope and assume that it is Brian Robinson because I'd love to play him in the flex for you, and you'll be good to go in that scenario. Then you play Tank Dell. Dank Dell. That's actually not a bad one. If he scores a touchdown this week, I'll probably call him Dank Dell all of next week. Anyway, if it is in fact Brian Robinson, you play him in the flex. If in fact it is Wandale Robinson, you'll probably go with Dell and Ford. But Dell gets your wide receiver spot regardless. Thank you. Western Goods says, PPR, Jacobs, Jones, Monty, Moss, Akers. Flex. Okay, so we need 2 in flex. Very well. So Jacobs has to play. Aaron Jones kind of has to play. And so does Montgomery. So those are the 3. Thank you. Giggs sends it a question. Says, hi, Andrew. Pick 2 running backs in a flex in a full PPR. Tony Pollard, Josh Jacobs, Cam Akers, Dobbins, Ayuk, DJ Moore. Yeah, look, in a full PPR, that flex is Ayuk without a doubt in my mind. As for the 2 starting running backs, I'm going with Tony Pollard and Josh Jacobs there. Thank you, Giggs. Luke C says, PPR, Mike Evans / Freiermuth for Amari Cooper and Brian Robinson Jr. If you need the running back depth, sure. But again, if you need the running back depth. Thank you. Betty G sends in a question, but there wasn't anything attached. Benny, I'll get to that in a moment. Let me continue to answer some of these other questions. Terry R says, best full PPR ad, Deontay Johnson, Blake Corum, Christian Watson, or Keon Coleman. If you're looking for immediate value, it's Deontay Johnson. If you're looking for late-term potential upside in the second half of the season as a lottery ticket, it would theoretically be Keon Coleman there. Terry R sends in a question. Okay, so thank you again, Terry. We have Leo who follows up and says, my Robinson is DeMarcus Robinson. Even worse. Holy moly. Okay, so it wasn't Wandale and it wasn't Brian. Okay, so it's DeMarcus. Got it. Of those potential available, Dell has to play. And, oh, you know what? Let me see where I have DeMarcus Robinson in comparison. So as it currently stands, where is he? Okay, and then, yeah. So as it currently stands, I'd probably play DeMarcus and Tank Dell there. Those would be the 2. Even though it's technically the worst option, it's not as bad as Wandale Robinson theoretically in this scenario. So yeah, DeMarcus and Dell. I didn't even think of DeMarcus. Okay, let's go find Benny G's question. Benny, I hope you're still in the live chat somewhere. Benny G, let's see, Control F. Benny in the Jets. Where are you, Benny? There you go. Good day, Andrew. Rubbish team, full PPR. Would you play Foreman, BTJ, Cooks, Naylor, or Chandler? Pick 2 in the flex. Okay, I'm not going to play Chandler. I'd consider playing Naylor in the absence of... I want to play Naylor in the absence of Addison. It's not a bad play. And then you have Foreman, BTJ, Cooks. Okay, so in a full PPR, how do I want to go about this? Okay, so I'm thinking the play is Cooks and Naylor. But I'm afraid of benching BTJ in case somehow, some way, he performs well against that secondary. So in this scenario, I would probably suggest going like Naylor and BTJ as the play. But if you were afraid as I am, as you know, as the wide receivers of the Jacksonville Jaguars having to take on the Buffalo Bills secondary, yeah, if you were afraid as I am, you'd probably play Cooks and Naylor as well. But if you're willing to risk it for the biscuit, it's BTJ Naylor. Thank you, Benny. Appreciate it. All right, let's go ahead and let's move back to this. Again, for those of you who are joining us, thank you. Hope you guys are doing well. Again, for the next, I don't know, let's say an hour and 20 minutes until 3 p.m. Pacific Standard Time here on the channel, I'm going to be answering questions. So if you have any, do me a favor. Make sure that you include your scoring format, whether you type it in the chat or send in super chats. I'm, of course, prioritizing super chats. People send in their hard-earned money, so I got to answer those. Thank you again. Greatly appreciated. Again, tomorrow morning, I will be back from 7 to 10 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. So if you guys want updated rankings on screen, top 36 running backs, wide receivers, top 12 kickers, defense, top 16 quarterbacks and tight ends, they will be available on screen tomorrow morning. So if you want to swing on by, ask a question, get all that kind of handled. If not, you can check out Underdog Fantasy at this current moment in time. Signing up via Underdog gets you guys my rankings every single Sunday morning for the remainder of the season. All you have to do is use code Andrew and make a first-time deposit minimum of $10, and you'll get those rankings sent to you from my email directly to yours. Or you can check out the Patreon where you can find those rankings and ask me unlimited questions. Thank you very much. And of course, Hidden Gems if you guys haven't checked it out. Appreciate it. Okay. Let's see. We had a question that came in from Daniel Barnes, who says the following: rest of season, 4-point per passing touchdown, pick 2. Carr, Love, Goff, or Fields. Yeah, Love number 1, Goff number 2, Carr number 3, Fields number 4. Fields always has the potential of being replaced by Russell, so he's the lowest value. Love is the best quarterback of the bunch. It's not even close. Goff has played terrible, but will eventually improve, certainly. Again, we know he's a better quarterback than how he has played thus far. And Carr is middle of the pack and will continue to be middle of the pack. Again, he is on a high right now, but we've seen, Derek Carr on highs before. So yeah, Love, Goff, Carr, Fields. Thank you. Jerry Gonzalez says in a question, in a half PPR, my team is the following: Purdy, Bijan, Henry, Achane, Harrison, Rice, Godwin, Shaheed, Bowers. Need help with the lineup? You don't need help, brother. Jerry, I'm telling you, you've got a monster effing team. Now, you may be wondering, Andrew, who do I start? It's a start 7. 1 quarterback, 2 running backs, 2 wide receivers, 1 tight end, 1 flex. If that is, in fact, your scenario, I can understand. So, the advice I would give, obviously, Purdy has to play a quarterback. I don't see any other ones available here on your team. Bowers is your tight end. Good to go. Your starting running backs within this given week would be Bijan number 1. Ah, geez Louise, am I sitting? Which wide receiver am I sitting? Okay, so Harrison and Rice are the wide receivers I play as your starting wide receivers. Bijan has to start at running back, and he probably sits next to, let's see, half PPR. Bijan into Henry is the number 2. And then the question is, do I play Achane or Godwin in the flex in a half PPR? To which, in that scenario, I would probably lean in. Do I want to play Achane or Godwin? I'd probably still play Achane there. So I'd go Bijan, Henry, Achane, Harrison, Rice, Purdue, Powers. Thank you, Jerry. Tough decision, to say the very least. Thank you. Idris sends in a question, says, 12-man record is 1-1. Team is Lamar, Zach Moss, Zamir White, Devontae Adams, Deontay Johnson, Brenton Strange, Jerome Ford. My bench consists of Dowdle, Harris, Quentin Johnston, Ray McLeod. Why do we have Ray McLeod on roster? I have Kittle, Kupp, and A.J. Brown hurt. Okay, so in your scenario, Idris, you are not going to be winning games going forward until you somehow get these players back from injury. So a couple weeks of losses will probably be tanked. Until then, I probably play Najee Harris over Ford in the flex. I think that's the only difference or change that I would make in this scenario. As for making any other moves, again, you could theoretically try to trade these players. We talked about it yesterday. Like, Kupp will probably return not next week, but probably the week after at very, best case scenario. A.J. Brown's probably a week 6 return. Kittle, considering it's a hamstring and the re-aggravation, that is simply definitely a possibility. Probably comes back also week 5, week 6. So unless you want to move these players now, which you certainly could, you're going to be tanking about 2 to 3 more losses here in a row, which in a 12-team league, if only 6 teams make the playoffs, it would probably be in your best interest to start moving these players to try to recoup some value. Thank you. Solomon Reyes says, who do I play? Akers, Aaron Jones, or Javonte Williams? Between the 3 of them, I'd probably play Aaron Jones. That's the direction I'd lead in. Thank you. We move on to a question that came in from Nick. Nick, thank you. It says, Carr or Purdy in the Superflex? Between the 2 of them, I have Carr ranked higher this week. Jennings or London? I'll take London. Thank you. Luke C. says, in a PPR, Mike Evans / Freiermuth for Amari Cooper, Brian Robinson Jr., with Zamir White, Javonte Williams, Josh Jacobs as my running back depth. Okay, so basically you're telling me you have no running back depth because Josh Jacobs is the number 1, and then the other 2 are only great in good matchups. You can't really start them blindly, which kind of gives you more incentive to make this trade. And then in this scenario, you have Devontae Smith, DK Metcalf, Rashee Rice. Yeah, I'm okay with this trade. Look, again, I love to have Mike Evans on your team, but considering the wide receiver depth that you currently have on roster, I'd keep all those guys. That's perfectly fine. Maybe I would move and try to get DK off roster, DK Freiermuth for this trade, and keep Evans. But again, I don't have an issue making this trade. Again, the running back depth you have definitely needs another player in that mix, and Brian Robinson should be a pretty decent option for you going forward. Thank you, Luke. Appreciate it. Kenneth Williams sends in a question. Thank you, Kenneth. Says, Ridley or Neighbors in a full PPR? Thanks, Andrew. I've kind of jumped back and forth on this a little while. Over the course of this week, I've kind of moved Neighbors down, then moved them up, then moved them down, and it just kind of goes back and forth. The way I see it, as it currently stands, I probably end up playing Ridley. I've moved the Neighbors down farther enough that I'm just like, I will probably play him in my leagues. Well, look, okay, so where he's going to sit, he will probably play in a lot of my leagues in which I have him. but that's because of necessity rather than wanting to. So considering you have an alternative option that I'm comfortable with, I'm okay making the swap there, Kenneth. Ryan Haley says, in a non-PPR Superflex, we have running back, wide receiver, okay? Stafford, Rice, Etienne, Ayuk, Charbonnet. Okay, so if we need to start all three, Ryan, a Superflex, a running back, and a wide receiver, okay? The running back you play is Etienne. The wide receiver you play is Rashee Rice. In the flex, Superflex, I'm not playing Stafford. I'll throw Ayuk there. Thank you. Juan Munoz sends in a super chat, but there wasn't anything attached to it. Juan, let me go ahead and see if I can find your message in the live chat. Juan Munoz. There wasn't anything attached, Juan. Do me a favor and just type it in the live chat and I'll be able to get to it. Thank you, bud. All right, let's see here. We had a question that came in from J.A. who says, start two, please, in a non-PPR. Zamir, Rashad, Akers, Ford. Yeah, I'd be very comfortable rolling with Zamir White as the number one and then Rashad White as the number two. Yeah, we'll take both the white guys. Zamir and Rashad. Maybe that's not the greatest way of saying that, but hey, we'll take it. Ryan Kramer sends in a question. Says, in a 12-team full PPR, Superflex, Keeper League, sold Jaden Daniels for Dobbins. That's it? What? Whoa, 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 whoa. 12-man Superflex. You sold Jaden Daniels for only Dobbins? Yo. Let me see the rest of this team. Says, okay. Drop someone for Huntley, May, Vidal, Tolbert, question mark. I have Dak, Brees, Dobbins, Rice, JSN, Laporta, BTJ, Mooney. Okay, so I don't get it. You mentioned your starting lineup. You didn't even mention a second quarterback. Who's your second quarterback? Superflex. Kupp, Braylon Allen, Benson, Dowdle, Chandler, Mostert. Wait, so you don't have a second quarterback. I am so effing confused now. You're selling Wait. So Ryan, I'm going to need you to type in the live chat, brother. I am so effing confused as to what you did. I don't even understand. Juan Munoz sent in a follow-up. You could have just typed it in the live chat, Juan, but I appreciate that. Thank you. Says Chase Neighbors for Garrett Wilson and Rice. What do you think about... If it's my... Okay. They want to do Smith instead of Neighbors? No, you can't give away Smith. So in this scenario, I'd rather give away... Am I okay giving away Chase and Neighbors for Garrett Wilson and Rashee Rice? Probably not. I don't even think I take that trade. I think I keep Chase and Neighbors and I keep Smith. I don't even make this move. Garrett Wilson's many weeks away from being a legitimate wide receiver one in fantasy. Like Alan Lazard and the way that Aaron Rodgers talks about Alan Lazard, he even said in the postgame conference, he's like, once me and number 5 get on the same page of which me and Alan Lazard are on, then we'll be good. Like they're not even, like rapport-wise, they're not there yet. So it's going to take a while. I'd rather just keep Jamar Chase and Neighbors in this scenario. Zolbu sends in a question, says Moss or Singletary? Moss, 100%. Thank you. Okay, let's see here. We had a question that came in from Mario Flores, who says Neighbors or Pollard in the flex full PPR. We'll take Pollard there this week. Thank you. Powerhouse sends in a question, says Achane or Kamara rest of the season? Super flex, full half PPR. As it currently stands, considering the unknown nature of Tua Tagovailoa, his potential return, the timeline, all that kind of jazz, you probably lean in the direction of Kamara, considering how well he's played and how great that offensive line looks. Let's see here. What the heck is this? Okay, so there's that. There's this. Okay, so Ryan Kramer, have you typed in the chat yet? Because I am legitimately curious as to what the heck your second quarterback is. Nothing in the chat yet. Got it. Okay, we move on to Chico 410, who says, should I start DK Metcalf for Charbonnet in a half PPR and Baker or Burrow? You know, last week I went Charbonnet over DK. Definitely regretted that because DK went for a monster 10 reception, 120-yard touchdown performance. In the given week, I'm still going to stick with the Charbonnet play. Thank you. If you want to do otherwise, you can, but I still lean towards that running back always. Baker or Burrow? I'll take Burrow this week. Thank you, Chico. Johnny Pina says, safe drop for Corum. Running backs are Mason, Kenneth Walker, JT. Yeah, safe drop. That's fine. No problem at all. Thank you. Milo sends in a question. Says, Godwin versus Godwin or JSN in the flex? Godwin, 100%. Ali sends in a question. There's nothing, anything. Yeah, there wasn't anything attached. Let me see, Ali. Ali. Yeah, nothing in the chat yet. Ali, do me a favor and just type in the live chat. Be greatly appreciated. Thank you. Jerry Gonzalez says follow up. PPR. What? Okay, my quarterback is Hurts, Gibbs, Mixon, Warren, Spears. My running backs, wide receivers are Adams, Godwin, Ridley, Odunze, Terry McLaurin. Tight end is Pat Fryermuth. Trades. As it currently stands, you really can't move wide receiver. Like Adams and Godwin kind of have to stay because they are consistent. Now, theoretically, you could trade up on Godwin to try to go get another wide receiver in this circumstance. But ultimately, I think what you would trade for in return would have to be like you'd have to be going after. Oh man, the volume of injuries are tough. Like you can't go after it. I guess you could. Like you could take Godwin right now and be like, all right, I want AJ Brown, and then just take the losses for the next couple weeks. Just play Ridley alongside of Adams. Like you could theoretically do that. Again, very dependent on whether that person in your league wants to give away AJ Brown for a player of that caliber. As for your running backs, Gibbs, Mixon, Warren, Spears, I mean, obviously you need more running back depth. So in this scenario, considering you really don't have much depth across the board, you should probably be picking up Akers first and foremost to play him over Mixon. But if you want to make a move of any sort of caliber to where you're getting more running back depth or getting more wide receiver depth, unless you're going to break off a wide receiver and get two players in return, which again, I wouldn't suggest, it kind of defeats the purpose of having those players as starters. It'd probably be taking Jalen Hurts, breaking him, getting a discounted quarterback, and then getting a wide receiver or running back in exchange. Just like what I've mentioned with people earlier with like Josh Allen, when you have very little depth at running back and wide receiver, and giving away a player in that role would require one back and then some, it's really not going to be, it's not going to be easy to find a trade in this caliber. So like if you were to try to move Gibbs, very seldom are you going to get two running backs in exchange in which you're going to be happy with. Now, maybe somehow, some way, somebody's crazy enough to where they're like, yeah, I'll take Gibbs. I'll give you Tony Pollard and Montgomery. They'll be idiots for doing so, but if you could pull it off, great. But again, from my experience, the leagues that I play in, there's no way that those kind of things ever happen in any circumstance. So it's probably a Hurts branched off into getting another running back, getting a discounted quarterback, and rolling as such. So you'd go after Burrow, you'd get somebody else at running back, whoever's available on there. You know what I mean? Like you'd try to just go after a lower valued quarterback who has the rest of the season upside and see what happens. Thank you, Jerry. Okay, we had a question from Diego who sends in the follow. Actually, it was after Jerry, it was J Money. J Money says, Zamir White, Ford, JSN, Deontay, Irving, half PPR, need one. If I'm playing one of them in a half PPR, it's Zamir White. The second play, if in fact you have one available, would be JSN there. Thank you. Okay, still looking for a question from Ali. See if I could find Ali in the chat. He says, full PPR, London, Thielen, JSN, or Dobbins. Stuck. In a full PPR format, I'd probably go London, JSN, Dobbins, Thielen in that order. Considering the way that JSN played last week, I'm almost considering playing him in a full PPR instead of London. Yeah, let's do that. Let's go JSN, London, Dobbins, Thielen in that order, full PPR. Thank you. Okay, so after Diego's question, actually, no, we hadn't answered Diego's question. We took care of J Money. Now we go down to Diego. The question is the following. Took your advice in a full PPR. I traded Najee Harrison Ridley for Aaron Jones to secure a better running back. Do I trade BTJ for Pickens and Chandler to secure the handcuff? Yes. I think BTJ and Pickens, I'd rather have Pickens the rest of the season. So if you can somehow get away with that trade, I'll take it. Christian Taylor says, please check missed super chat. All right, let me check right now. Christian Taylor. Okay, Christian. How did I miss all of these? Did I miss so many? I missed a handful. I apologize, guys. Sometimes happens where it updates and then it it like loads too far down and I just miss a couple. So we had answered Idris's first question. We didn't get to Solomon Reyes. Actually, maybe we did, but either way, Solomon Reyes. Who do I play? Akers, Aaron Jones, Javonte. I think I remember answering this and saying Aaron Jones. Then Nick asked Carr or Purdy, and I remember answering Carr and then playing London over Jennings. Okay. Then Connor sends in a question. I don't remember answering this one, but maybe. Says Kyron. Yeah, I don't remember answering this one. So yes, I did miss a couple. So Connor says Kyron, Connor, Brian Robinson, Ayuk, Smitty, Godwin, JSN, Tank. Okay, Eckler, BJ, Bowers, Andrews. Was offered Kelsey and Bijan for my Kyron, Smitty, and Andrews. Nope, keep what you have. Okay, so of your potential options here, 2 wide receiver, 1 flex league, full PPR. I think I keep what you have. Look, here's the thing. Giving away Smitty in this scenario, like, okay, I understand Kelsey's more valuable than Andrews. I understand that Bijan is more valuable than Kyron. But at your wide receiver, you have Ayuk, Smitty, Godwin, JSN. Theoretically, you can tank it, but is it worth it? Is there that big of a difference between Andrews and Kelsey rest of the season? I don't think so. And then it's just Kyron, Smitty versus Bijan. I'd like to have the depth. Bijan really hasn't done the damage that he's going to. He'll be a 20-point player, but once the Rams are healthy, Kyron will be fine. I think I just keep what you have right now, Connor. Idris sent in a follow-up, says, do I make any trades? Idris, as for your follow-up question, yeah, the only trades that you could theoretically make, like I was mentioning in regards to your initial super chat, was if you're going to take A.J. Brown, Cooper Kupp, and Kittle, you have to move them now for players that, again, are still very similar in terms of rest of season value. I'm not going to sell A.J. Brown for Neighbors. I'm not going to sell him for Drake London. I'd still want to get player of a top-tier position in exchange for them. Otherwise, I'll just sit on my hands, tank the losses, and see how it goes. Like, if I'm going to move Kittle, theoretically right now, I better be getting back a Mark Andrews, a Bowers, you know what I mean? Like, I still need someone in that top 6 tight end capacity. I won't move him for anything less. Now, if you're going to move Kittle and then start, let's say, for example, you have Brenton Strange. You can't start him rest of the season, but I think you do. What do you have? You have Ingram? No. Yeah, you can't move him unless you get a tight end back. So, again, very much so, you would have to move these players and ask for the same position back, and you don't want to take too big of a discount. Otherwise, you just wait. Thank you. We had a question from Terry R, who says, full PPR, Ferguson or Kincaid? In a full PPR, based on the matchup itself, let me actually check. Who is it? I know that Ferguson's got a great matchup. I'm curious how Jacksonville is against tight ends. They played against John in week 1, didn't really do anything. In week 2 against, who did they get mobbed on by? I can't even remember off the top of my head what happened in week 2 for the Jacksonville Jaguars. Why am I pulling a blank in that scenario? Either way, let me go see what the strength of schedule looks like. So as it currently stands, where is Jacksonville? Yeah, they're pretty good against tight ends. Okay. So in this scenario, I'd probably play Ferguson this week, Terry. Christian Taylor says Pittman for Cooper plus Bowers. I have Ferguson at tight end. So you would be trading away Pittman and you'd get Amari Cooper and Bowers in return? Yeah, I'm okay with that. I don't have an issue with that. I think that's a great trade. Thank you. Luke C, did I end up answering this one? I think I answered Luke C. Yeah, and then I got, okay, cool. So I think I've caught up to the questions that I missed. I do appreciate you guys being patient with me. Apologize for missing those questions in the past. I'll try to be better in that regard. Apologize. Thank you. Okay, so Isaac sends in a question. Says the following. Someone is offering me A.J. Brown and Jacobs for my ETN, DJ Moore, and Mason. Rest of my team is Purdy, London, Hall, Andrews, J-Mo, Charbonnet, Core. Okay, so you don't have, just to confirm, you do not have Christian McCaffrey. If in fact that is the case, I would make this trade. Give me A.J. Brown, give me Josh Jacobs rest of the season, Isaac. Thank you. Craig sends in a question. Says flexing Oakland defense. Oakland, huh? You mean Las Vegas? For bench spots. Drop Dallas defense for Demarcus Robinson or someone else off the waivers. Worth stashing Dallas. Listen, I want to stash Dallas for next week. They play against the what's it called? The Giants. So I want to keep Dallas. I don't want to drop them. Trade London or J-Mo for Waddle. I'd probably keep both of those for right now. Not going to move yet. If I had 100% guarantee that Tua would come back, I'd say yes, let's move J-Mo. But as of right now, I just hold. yeah, Las Vegas defense is solid. Hold Dallas. I wouldn't drop them yet. I'd keep them for next week and good to go. Thank you. Anakin sends in a question, says, Allen's my quarterback. Pacheco, Pollard, Moss, Foreman, Ayuk, Rice, Marvin Harrison, Godwin, Keenan Allen, Coleman. Stay put, question mark? Or do I try to get another running back till Pacheco returns? Okay, so here's the deal. Considering you have Pollard, Moss, you will survive for the next couple weeks. And I believe neither of those teams have a bye week. So the issue is Pacheco probably doesn't come back for 2 months. So you won't see Pacheco in your lineup until week 10. So you absolutely are going to need another running back because Foreman is not going to cut it once Nick Chubb returns. Therefore, of the available options you have, Ayuk, Rice, Marvin Harrison, Godwin, Keenan Allen, you are probably grabbing Godwin, moving him, and trading him for a running back. Who you can get, I mean, literally try everyone at the top of the position going downward. Knock on every door, see who needs Godwin or who wants Godwin in this scenario because, quite frankly, he's been incredible, and you're not going to sell him for cheap. So, yeah, I mean, at this point, knock on every door. We're looking for top 15 running backs at this point. If you have to, okay, so theoretically, the worst running backs that I'm taking, worst, right? And these are good players. The worst I'm taking in exchange for this, right? I want obviously all the top 12 guys from this offseason, but I also still want, if I can get James Conner, if I can get David Montgomery, if I can get Kenneth Walker, I'll still take that in exchange for it. Thank you. As for Jimmy, who is the next question on hand, says flex full PPR Najee, Chuba Hubbard, Terry McLaurin, DJ or BTJ. This week in a full PPR, I'll play DJ Moore there. Thank you. Lou, 8305. Thank you very much, Lou. Appreciate it. Says, hi, Andrew. I need help this week. In a half PPR, my team consists of Josh Allen, J.K. Dobbins, James Cook, Zamir White, Hunt, Dowdle, consisting with also wide receivers JSN, Cooper, Garrett Wilson already started, T. Higgins, Deontay Johnson, Cortland Sutton, Isaiah Likely. Start 2 running backs, 1 wide receiver, and 1 flex. Also, do I pick up Akers? Okay, so of the available options you have, obviously you know you're playing Josh Allen. You've already started Garrett Wilson. Within your tight end position, you have Isaiah Likely. So those positions are set. For the 2 running backs that I'm starting this week, I am going to play Jonathan Taylor and James Cook. Good to go. No questions asked there. As for the second wide receiver between the available you have, I would play JSN. And then within your flex position, in a half PPR league, I'm going to play Zamir White there. So again, from the top, James Cook, Jonathan Taylor, JSN, Zamir White. Those are your fill-ins. Thank you, Lou, 8304. Thank you. Solomon Reyes says, trade Achane slash Andrew slash DeMarcus Robinson or Ridley for Connor Bowers Neighbors. I don't want to give away Achane. The first trade of which you're giving away Achane, Andrews, DeMarcus Robinson for Connor Bowers Neighbors, I could justify that. I legitimately could. You can't give away Ridley, though, in that scenario. So the first trade, I could justify it. It can make sense in my mind. Again, Bowers is going to have to outproduce Andrews. Neighbors is going to clear DeMarcus Robinson pretty easily, and as long as Connor stays healthy for majority of the season, you'll be fine. Guy I'm trading will have Achane on bye the week that we play each other. I don't think that justifies anything. I'm just trying to make sure that your team scores more points the rest of the season. I don't care about the matchups, but I appreciate the context, Solomon. I could justify the trade. I could, because really Achane's the only secure valuable piece there, and you're getting 3 pretty good studs on the other side of the board. So I'm okay with it, just as long as you're not giving away Ridley. Vol Crush says, greetings and salutations. In a full PPR, I need to pick 1 wide receiver and 1 flex from JSN, Diggs, Shaheed, Pollard, Kyren Williams, Thielen. 1 wide receiver, 1 flex. Okay, so of the available wide receivers that you have, I would play JSN. As the available running backs that you have, I would probably, I'm beginning to now get back on board of the idea of playing Kyren. If George Kittle was active, ready to go, healthy, and so was Deebo Samuel, I'd feel like, okay, this is going to be a blowout. There's no way San Francisco doesn't drop 35 points at halftime and completely torch this defense. There's no way in hell. But considering all that has transpired, all the injuries that have taken place in this overall offense, I'm beginning to lean back in the direction of Kyren. I'd probably go in his direction here this week in your flex. Thank you. Pina Colada sends in a question, says, pick 2. Higgins, Cam Akers, Dell. I'd play Higgins and Akers. That's the way that I would go about it. Thank you. Matt K says, flex 4 to Shaheed. I'll take Shaheed there. Drop BTJ for Deontay Johnson? No. Thank you. Bryant Keebler sends in a question, says, with projections Okay, with projections be so close between Waddle and Jennings, do I rely upon talent with Waddle or the 49ers offense with Debo and Kittle out? Thank you. I would go ahead and take the opportunity rather than the talent. Opportunity is far more valuable. I would lean in the direction of playing the 49ers wide receiver at this point. Thank you. Yeah, Waddle's going to be very low ranked tomorrow morning. You'll be surprised as to how low he is. Actually, maybe you won't. I just don't trust Skylar Thompson in that scenario. You know, whenever I say Skylar, it reminds me of, what's his name? Breaking Bad. I mean, Skylar was the worst character, don't get it wrong. But, I mean, geez Louise. Every time I say it, because I don't know if I know or have heard of anybody else named Skylar besides Skylar Thompson and that one character from the TV show. That's about it. That pretty much clears it. All right, thank you. Appreciate it. Okay, so let's get to the live chat. I have caught up on all these questions. John in the live chat says, Jawan Johnson, Rome Odunze, or Pittman, start 2. I'll take Jawan Johnson and Pittman there. Thank you. John Doe 420 says, Akers, Jerome Ford. I'll take Akers there. Flo says, okay, he's answering somebody else's question. Kuong says, pick one. Keenan Allen, who do I... Okay, pick up Keenan Allen. Who do I drop? Keon Coleman, Bucky Irving, Chase Brown, Cam Akers next week. Yeah, listen, considering we don't know how long Mixon's going to be missing time, I think I'd like to hold Akers just in case. In this scenario, we should be picking up Keenan Allen. But the thing is, isn't Keenan Allen already designated out? So shouldn't you already be throwing him on your IR list? Let me check. I want to confirm if Keenan Allen's actually been given the out designation. He is. So if you can pick up Keenan Allen and just throw him on your IR list, then you're good to go. And I don't think there'll be a question. Now, if you don't have an IR list in this scenario, probably the drop at that point would then be Chase Brown or Keon Coleman, which I'd rather have the lottery ticket of Chase Brown on my team. All right, Leaf sends in a question. Thank you, Leaf. Leaf says, start 2.5 PPR. Moore, Kyron, Dobbins, Worthy. Of those available in a half PPR, I'm taking both the running backs. Give me Dobbins, give me Kyron. Thank you. Nick Walker says, hey, Andrew, do you play Madden? No. I haven't played Madden since 2018. Yeah. That's the last time. Like, I'm not even joking. Yeah, as soon as I started this channel, I stopped playing Madden. I had to make a sacrifice. Do I want to play Madden Ultimate Team or do I want to, make a living? So, obviously I chose the better of the two. Big Joe says, start 2 of Ridley, Cooper, or Higgins in PPR. Ridley, Cooper, or Higgins. Okay, so of the available, it's probably just safe to play the Cooper Ridley role just to wait and see what Higgins is capable of. He may be limited. I don't know. I think Ridley and Cooper's fine. Let's just roll with those two for right now. Flex, who do we pick up? Who do you pick, Zach Moss or Chris Godwin? In the flex, I'd probably rather play Chris Godwin there, Ray. Yeah, look, Madden's a thing that... Madden is a time dump. Okay, it is a legitimate time dump. If you want to forget about your worries and go and sink time, I did a lot of that between 2013 to 2018. I did a lot of that. Okay, I got my my fix in there. Shouldn't IR be IR not out? When I play on Yahoo Fantasy, which is the only platform I play on, I have a couple teams on Sleeper, but that's a lie. Okay. On Yahoo Fantasy, if a player is designated quote unquote out, they go to the IR position. So that's the way that I roll it. I think that's the best way to roll it. Otherwise, change your commissioner. Moving on. Jimmy says, flex PPR, Najee, Terry McLaurin, Chuba Hubbard, Deontay Johnson, or BTJ. In a flex full PPR capacity, of the available that you have here, I'd probably go Terry McLaurin and Deontay. Thank you. Frank sends in a question, says, what is a better flex between Jalen Naylor, Cam Akers, or Dallas Goedert? I'd probably go Cam Akers there. Thank you. Shane sends in a question, says, in a full PPR, Swift, Akers, Steele. Pick 2. Swift and Akers. Thank you. Sosa Ross says, Flowers, Jacobs, Charbonnet, or Shaheed. Start 3. I'm benching Shaheed. The rest of the 3 get to start. Thank you. Shakir or McLaurin? I'd probably go McLaurin there. Very, very slightly ahead of Shakir, though. But that's mainly because Shakir just doesn't get enough target opportunity. And quite frankly, anybody can score within that offense. They don't need Shakir to show up for them to win games. Who's D-Rob? DeMarcus Robinson. Likely, Gesicki, or Strange at tight end. I'd probably play Isaiah Likely there. Arlen in the chat says, in a full PPR, Deontay Johnson versus Las Vegas with Andy Dalton at quarterback, or Jalen Waddle versus Seattle with Skylar Thompson. I'm probably playing... Okay, yeah, I'm probably playing Deontay Johnson there. It's crazy, but I'd probably do that in a full PPR. I don't know if I want to trust Skylar Thompson in any sort of capacity. Let's see here. G Smooth says T Higgins, DK, Evans in a full PPR. Which two this week? Yeah, let's just roll with DK and Evans. Let's not play it cute. Let's just play the studs. Thank you. Tank Dell or Jamison Williams in a standard? Jamison Williams for sure. I think that'll kind of be the case rest of the season, the way the Jamisons look thus far. Hey Andrew, Carr or Purdy? Let's play Carr this week. Thank you. Leaf says, why not start more? Keenan Allen is out. My last question for reference. Got it. Let me go back up there, Leaf. Yeah, it's mainly because of the half PPR format. Like, Moore can find himself a lot of receptions, just like he did last week, 6 receptions. That's a solid week. But ultimately, when I look at a half PPR format, if you don't get that extra half point per reception, the touchdown upside is clearly in the direction of Kyron and Dobbins in comparison to Moore, who, again, has to rely upon a quarterback that just hasn't been relevant in that capacity. Only 4 completions of 10 or more yards thus far this season, where the ball has been directly received 10 or more yards down the field. I'm not talking about somebody makes a catch in the backfield and goes for 10 yards. I'm talking about him pushing the ball down the field. He has yet to do it, so I'd rather just play the running backs and play the safety between those two. But I can understand, why you would want to play him in the absence of Keenan Allen, but there wasn't Keenan Allen last week, and Moore wasn't really relevant. Let's see here. Andrew Gang in the chat says, Pittman Jr., Singletary, or Thielen in a half PPR? I'd play Pittman there. Bradley says full PPR, Akers, Thielen, Juwan Jennings. I'm going to probably lean towards... That's a really good one. Let me think about that for a second, actually. That's a really good one. Ronnie Bors in the super chat sends in a question. Thank you, Ronnie. Says full PPR. I traded Shaheed for Cooper Kupp while I have Puka on my IR. I'm 2-0. Did I win? Yes. Objectively, yes. Congratulations. Firm handshakes, Ronnie. Good job. Let's see here. Flo in the live chat says Ford or Akers. Yeah, let's play Akers there. Rodney says standard league. I need one. Higgins, Bowers, Rashid, Shaheed. I have a hard time not starting Bowers in this scenario. That being said, Rashid Shaheed has a sick... both of them have really good matchups. I probably play Bowers. I think he has touchdown. I think he's due for a touchdown this week. I don't know what it is. I just have a feeling. Maybe it's because of the Carolina matchup. So going back to that prior question that it was Akers, Thielen, Jennings in a full PPR from Bradley in the live chat. Bradley, that is a fucking tough question. So typically the safety of having a running back and the potential for a rushing touchdown upside is really valuable. That being said, I think I probably... Jeez Louise, what do I want to do with this? Do I want to play Akers? Okay, so if it's my team and I'm playing a flex, Akers... If it's my team, I'm playing Akers there. If it's my team and I legitimately have the roster in front of me, I'm throwing Akers into the flex. Thank you, Bradley. Let's see here. ECKZ, or X maybe, says PPR pick 3, Xavier Worthy, Brian Thomas Jr., T. Higgins, Waddle, Amari Cooper. Yeah, between those available, I'd probably go like Higgins, Waddle, Amari. For safety, Shaheed for upside. Okay, there you go. Keenan K says Deontay Foreman or Naylor in a half PPR or Bucky Irving in the flex. Not really interested in playing Bucky Irving as long as Rachaad White is active. So in this scenario, it's probably playing Foreman. Thank you. Is Tua droppable for Jalen Wright? I don't know if Tua is definitely droppable in a 1 QB league. I don't know if he's droppable in a 2 QB league. I'd rather just put him in my IR spot. Let's see here. A-Train says, half PPR, I have a terrible wide receiver room. I have Waddle as my best wide receiver with Debo hurt. Trade Waddle for Tank Dell straight up? Nope, absolutely not. No, thank you. Let's see here. Shrey sends in a question. Says, Jonnu Whittington, steal, start 2. Okay. Listen, as the president and the CFO, CEO, COO of the Jonnu Smith fan club, I don't know if I could actually stomach playing him in that scenario. I'd love to. Just don't trust it, even though Skylar Thompson came into the game and lit him up. And additionally, Hunter Henry was a monster against that defense last week. Even with that, I think I still play the other two in that scenario. Maybe I've just talked myself into playing Jonnu. I'd have to think about it more. Julian sends in a question. Julian says star 1.5 PPR, we have Keon Coleman, Darnell Mooney, or Christian Watson. Don't want to play Christian Watson unless, of course, we have Jordan Love active. So in this scenario, I probably play Mooney number 1, Coleman number 2, Watson number 3. If, in fact, Jordan Love somehow, some way is active tomorrow, then at that point, I'd be willing to play Christian Watson 1, Mooney number 2, Keon Coleman number 3. Thank you, Julian. Appreciate it. Okay, really quickly. Again, for those of you who are joining us, welcome. Hope you guys are doing well on this wonderful Saturday afternoon. I don't know what kind of college football games are going on. I don't watch college football. I don't got time for it. Hopefully there's something interesting going on. I know last week was probably some of the worst games. I flipped the television on, and all I see is blowouts left, right, and center. Oregon beating the crap out of Oregon State. Notre Dame's up 59-7 or something. Like, football is rough. But again, there's football out there. For those of you who choose to be here instead, I greatly appreciate, again, your guys' presence and your support. If you guys haven't yet already, do me a favor, click the like button down below. It is greatly appreciated. Do not forget that, again, tomorrow morning, I will be live streaming here on the channel, starting at 7 a.m. Pacific Standard Time to 10 a.m. 3 hours, answering questions the entire time. We will have updated rankings around me, filtering on the live screen. So if you guys are interested, be sure to swing on by. I greatly appreciate it. If you guys want my rankings before tomorrow morning, all-encompassing rankings so that you can help set your lineups. Again, Patreon, links down in the description, and of course, Underdog Fantasy. I will go ahead and put together a couple pick'em slips, probably at around 2:30, so in about 16 minutes, I'll do so via Underdog. But outside of that, again, thank you very much for all the support, guys. Okay, we had a question that came in from, Fa, P-H-A, Fa, says, full PPR, Brian Robinson Jr. or JSN. In a full PPR, I probably played JSN there. Yeah, I'm going to go JSN there. Jose Rodriguez says, full PPR, can I improve my team with Christian McCaffrey on the IR? I have Dak, Montgomery, Stevenson, Rice, St. Brown, Laporte. Listen, okay, so already looking at this team across the board, I don't even have to look at the rest of this bench, but it's still got some pieces there with Higgins, Waddle. Okay, very well. How can you improve this team? So the biggest improvement that theoretically would need to be made is at, really, look, Rice and St. Brown start rest of the season every single game. Same thing with Laporta. But the issue is you now have Montgomery also starting every game. So you're starting 3 Detroit Lions every week, which is my peak limit of players on a single team that I'd like to play in my starting lineup. But your biggest probable pivot that you should maybe make is once Higgins produces something in the next coming weeks, he either takes your flex spot or you try to flip him for another running back, because Akers isn't going to be able to be flexed, every week going forward. So you're probably in a position to where you want to take Higgins. You either start him in the flex going forward, if in fact he has legitimate relevancy and a high volume of targets, or you flip him for a running back because you do need a little bit more depth going forward. Thank you, Jose. So it's again, right now, it's like a wait until we get a couple performances out of these guys, then try to flip them accordingly. God's Gang sends in a question, says, would you play Akers over Neighbors? Yes, I would. If it was my team, I would. The issue that I have with Neighbors is purely the fact of the matter that the Cleveland Browns defense does not have to, they don't have to be responsible for trying to really stop anybody else. If they want to hand the ball off to Devin Singletary every down, let them do so. If they want to throw the ball to Wando Robinson and Darius Slayton every down, let them do so. They will ensure. I'm almost positive. Okay, we don't have Gus Bradley playing defensive coordinator over there in Cleveland. They are going to double cover him the entire game. If they do not do so, they want to lose that at that point. Then the NFL's rigged. We'll just go at that route. You know what I mean? Leaf says you're a Chargers fan, right? No, I'm just okay. This is the way this works, right, Leaf? I'm a fan of all things Los Angeles. Rams, Chargers, Dodgers, Lakers. Across the board. We do not mess around with any California teams of the nature of the Clippers or the Anaheim Angels. We are also Kings fans in regards to hockey, even though I will not watch hockey unless it's playoffs. But LA General. Thank you. Let's see here. I only watch Colorado Buffs, says Carlo. Are they good? I don't think they're good. They try to make a lot of moves this year with the transfer portal. They really still don't have an offensive and defensive line. Let's see here. Hi, Andrew. Purdy or Jaden Daniels and Mooney? Purdy or Jaden Daniels? Let's play Jaden Daniels this week. Also, Mooney or Tutu Atwell in the flex. Mooney. Thank you. What's up, dude? Waddle or Zamir in a full PPR? I think I'd rather play Zamir this week. Thank you. Higgins or Worthy? At that point, I'd just play Higgins. Pyro the Bay says Tank Dell or Akers. I'd probably just rather play Akers there. If it was my team, I would. I'd just throw him in that flex spot. All right. Ryan Kramer had a follow-up question. Said the following. Says in a 12-team super flex, drop someone. Got it. Ryan, I was waiting for you to type in the live chat so that I could follow up on your question because you had said you traded away J.K. Dobbins, or you traded away Jaden Daniels for J.K. Dobbins in a super flex, which blew my mind. And then obviously we kind of gotten, sidetracked past that. But anyway, apologize. Let me get back to answering your question. Drake May, Huntley, Vidal, Tolbert, Leggett. Yeah, if I'm picking up one of these players, considering again, you have Dak, Brees, Dobbins, Rice, JSN Laporta, BTJ Mooney, and I see no quarterback on your bench, you need to probably pick up Drake May in hopes that, the fact of the matter is you probably won't see him starting for a while. Actually, you know what? You wouldn't even play him. No, I'm not even going to make that change. The only swap that I would make looking at your roster, I wouldn't make a swap. I think about picking up Leggett, but I don't actually want him right now. No, I leave it as is, Kramer. Thank you. Okay, let's see here. Scrolling down. Coach Primetime is the GOAT. Listen, don't get it twisted. I'm sure he is. But, the issue is their football team doesn't play well. They don't got a defense. Travis Hunter is the best player, on that team by far and away. But it is what, it's tough. Dodgers, baby. Yeah, listen, man. The beautiful thing about the Dodgers, okay, the beautiful thing is we have so much money. We have an abundance of cash that we're always willing to throw at players. But when someone like Ohtani shows up and says, you know what, guys, just default my contract 10 years in advance. Don't even worry about paying me right now. Just pay me 10 years from now, however many hundreds of millions you owe me. That's just chef's kiss. On top of the fact that the dude is just, he is legitimately one of the best players that has ever played the game. He's unbelievable. The fact that he is as good as he is, as, in the batter's box in comparison to where he is on the mound, like the guy is a fucking beast. And only the Dodgers gets to benefit in that kind of stuff because we just have so much money to throw at a player of that capacity. And he also wants to win, so, we'll take it. Kyle sends in a question, says, full PPR, Aaron Jones or McLaurin for Chase? Aaron Jones and McLaurin for Chase. Yeah, I'll take the Chase side of that. We're good to go. Thank you. Will825 Liam Games says, hey, Andrew, in a full PPR, start Akers or Moss in the flex? I prefer Moss this week in comparison. Also, Dak or Kirk this week? We'll take Dak. So Dak and Moss, thank you. God's Gang says, drop Quentin Johnston for Akers. Are you going to play him this week? If so, then yes. If not, then just keep Quentin Johnston. The issue is with Justin Herbert this week is that I don't really trust playing Quentin Johnston or any of the receiving targets in that offense, mainly because he's dealing with a high ankle sprain. There's also a chance that pregame warmups, Herbert does not even play. And if that's going to be the case, I would probably venture to say that the entire Chargers offense is irrelevant. And we're going to have a huge game from Pittsburgh Steelers defense. Yo, Andrew, you play any fantasy basketball? No, I don't. I haven't played fantasy basketball since 2013, 2014. Yeah, that was the last time I ever did it. You want to know why? Because the fact that you had to change and start your lineup multiple times a week, are you kidding me? Just wait for Sunday. I don't want to have to deal with a roster swap every day. Absolutely not. Carlos says needs to be drug tested. Yeah, listen, Ohtani listen, besides the drug test, people need to figure out whether or not he was gambling. I don't know about him and his translator. I think it was definitely him moving some money there. I don't know what was going on. Anyway, Old J Running sends in a super chat, says, pick 3 in a PPR. Aaron Jones, Shaheed, Zach Moss, or Mike Evans. Aaron Jones, Shaheed, Zach Moss, Mike Evans. Okay, so if I'm picking 3 of these potential 4 options, I'd probably end up going Aaron Jones, Shaheed, and Mike Evans. Also, follow-up question, drop DeMarcus Robinson for Jordan Whittington or Josh Downs. I think DeMarcus Robinson is going to play the most snaps amongst the group. That being said, anybody who starts in this offense typically plays a bunch of overall snaps. If it was me, I think DeMarcus Robinson, does he have a chance of getting replaced the rest of the season? Probably. Okay, look, here's the thing. If it's me, I'd probably pick up Jordan Whittington just to see. If you think DeMarcus Robinson is going to be someone that is going to be in your rotation for the next couple weeks in the absence of Puka and Kupp, and you're like, I'm going to need him for week 5 because I have a bye week here, then just keep him for now. Legend Killer sends in a question, says, I have both Evans and Godwin, which again, first and foremost, to answer, before you even ask your question, I'm comfortable playing them both on the same team rest of the season every week. Anyway, moving on. Half PPR, should I keep them both or trade one of them? You're good to go. I have no issue with it. Baker Mayfield's played great. The offense looks great. And quite frankly, the fact that Godwin is getting more utilization this season in comparison to last is a product of that offense and the offensive coordinator switch. So I don't have an issue keeping it as such and keeping it rolling. Thank you. Let's see here. Caden in the live chat says, JSN and Jacobs for Lamb, a good trade. I don't have an issue with that. I'm okay with that. Again, that's very much so assuming you have enough running back depth to be able to lose Jacobs and survive that. But if you can, then yeah, I don't have an issue with that. Reaper13 says, Andrew the GOAT, I need some advice. Pick 2 of 4 half PPR flexes. DeMarcus Robinson, Dobbs, Whittington, and P. Ryan. Okay, so as it currently stands, if Jordan Love does not play, Romeo Dobbs does not touch my lineup. So then at that point, I'm looking at DeMarcus Robinson as my number 1. And then I'm looking at either Whittington or P. Ryan. P. Ryan is probably going to be in line considering there's no Kareem Hunt this week. P. Ryan is probably going to catch the ball, I want to say 4 to 5 times for 30, 40 yards. So let's say, for example, in a half PPR, he is at a baseline of production getting himself 4 to 6 points there in the receiving game. So let's say he gets 6 points. Then he has 20 rushing yards. Then he gets 8 points. Can Jordan Whittington outproduce 8 points? I would venture to say probably that. I'd venture to say that if Jordan Whittington is going to put up a number, he's either going to put up 3 points or he's going to put up 10 points. There's no in between. I don't think that we'll find in between. We'll either get a terrible game or a great game, because that's pretty much what we're going to see out of the Rams this week. So in my position, I'd probably tell you to start both of the Rams wide receivers and just full blitz it. But that's, again, with the risky nature that Whittington could end up. I mean, DeMarcus Robinson could end up with 2 points. You never know. So both of them are theoretically risky. Just a matter of, do you want to play P. Ryan? I don't think P. Ryan gets any rushing work, especially near the red zone. So his upside is purely just based on receiving utilization, which, again, there isn't much of that opportunity thus far this season. R. Walt 24 says, full PPR Goff or Anthony Richardson. I have Amon-Ra St. Brown. Okay, so as of this week, let me check my rankings. I have Anthony Richardson a couple spots ahead of Amon-Ra. Or sorry, not Amon-Ra. Jared Goff in this scenario. As for your second question, Flowers or JMO, I have Flowers ahead of him. Thank you. Vowed on Film says, sup, Andrew. My question is in our Discord chat. Got it. 1 second. So we need to go and I need to fire up Discord. That's the thing. Usually I don't have Discord open, primarily because I don't need the notifications popping in my ear all day. So we need to do ourselves a favor here. Okay. 1 second. Let me go find it right now. Okay. So if this thing wants to fire up, that'd be great. Please and thank you. While I'm waiting for that to fire up, Alex, number 8, says, I have both Olave and Shaheed. Which should I do this week? Yeah. Okay. So if you're going to start one of them, I would start Olave. If in fact you can start both, I have no issue with that, primarily because, again, they play against the Eagles, and the Eagles are one of the best matchups you could possibly ask for. Philly Freak says, full PPR, start BTJ, Worthy, or Shakir at the flex. Between the 3 of them, I'd probably play Worthy. Yeah, I'd probably play Worthy. Carlos Perez says, in a 10-team PPR, trade Kyron Williams and a first for Malik Neighbors. I got Bijan, Mason, Pollard, and Brian Robinson. Okay, so when you say trade a first, are you talking about like this is a dynasty league? This is a 2025 first? Or is this a redraft keeper league in which you're giving away a first? Yeah, that kind of context would definitely help me in this scenario, Carlos. Thank you. All right, so what am I looking for here again? Okay, I'm looking for Vowed on Film. Vowed. There is a lot of Discord logos here. Remind me which one is yours. Because the volume of messages that I have not answered on Discord is a lot. So what is your logo again? Patrick Ronald sends has a question in the chat. Says neighbors, Shakir, or Lockett. At that point, I just play neighbors. I'm okay with that. Miguel Garcia in the chat says Ramondre Stevenson hurt me. Full PPR pick 2, Rashad White, Dobbins, Tony Pollard. I'd go with Rashad White and Tony Pollard there. Thank you. Evans or DK Metcalf? I have DK Metcalf one spot ahead of Evans this week. Thank you. Skills all day says in half PPR Richardson or Daniels. I play Daniels this week. Start 1, JMO, Pittman, JSN. I'd probably go with JMO there in a half PPR. A little bit more upside. Fear God. Thank you. Okay, so looking at your entire questions, here we go. It says, okay, so this is the trade question. Got it. Okay, so it says, looking at the photos, okay. Looking for the photos with both team rosters. Okay, I went ahead and modified the trade, giving Charbonnet was on the waiver wire, and I was going to drop BTJ for him. Lost it to the team, so I counter-offered with this. Okay, boom. Thoughts on this? Am I maximizing my trade value trading for this team? If not, what players would you trade from my team? For referencing, but okay, got it. So, in this scenario, you have Olave, Neighbors, Charbonnet, Evans, Pollard. Okay, so referencing the team up top. Let me just check this really quickly. I need to actually zoom in on this. It is so hard to see this team. I have to actually zoom. Let's click on this. Let's click on this. Okay, so I can't even zoom on this team. Is that an actual thing? I can't. Okay, so Mahomes, Breece Hall, Brian Robinson, Evans, Rice. Wait, is this actually the team? Wait a minute. Yeah, it is the team. Okay. Evans, Rice, McBride, Tank Dell, Worthy, Pollard. Okay, got it. Jaden Reed. Okay, so considering all of that, with the modifications made. So, do you have Kenneth Walker on this team? Am I blind? Is he on the bench maybe? Let's see here. Jameson Williams, Brian Thomas. Okay, so my question is, why are we trading for... Why do we want Zach Charbonnet? That's my question. So why... Okay, let me just type it back to you. Why do we want... Okay, I will come back to that answer in a moment. Let's continue on with some of these other questions. I'm looking for Carlos in his context really quickly. Carlos Perez says the following. Let's see here. Yes, Dynasty, got it. Okay, so theoretically, if you were going to move Kyron in a first and you were going to pick up Malik Neighbors, I'd be fine with that. I don't have an issue with that. That's fine. Again, it makes you a little bit thin at running back, but Bijan, Pollard, Brian Robinson, again, younger running backs, you'll be okay. I mean, Pollard's actually not technically young. I think he's like 26 now. I don't mind that. That's fine by me. Again, Malik Neighbors is going to be great. The thing is, that quarterback is going to change next season. That's for sure. Daniel Jones will not be his quarterback. They'll probably get an improvement going forward. So for the future look, I'm fine with it. Michael Barton sends in a question, says, pick one in a PPR. Juwan Jennings, Brian Thomas Jr., Keon Coleman. I'll take Juwan Jennings out of those three. Also, pick one again. Akers, Ford, Zamir White, Najee Harris. I'll take Zamir White out of those available. Thank you. Pick one out of Kincaid or Ferguson. I'll take Ferguson this week. Also, pick one between Akers and DeMarcus Robinson. We'll take Akers there. Thank you, Michael Barton. I appreciate it. And then for your next group of questions, Michael Barton says, pick two between Juwan Jennings, Shakir, Deontay Johnson, and Terry McLaurin. So of those available there, Juwan Jennings, Shakir, Deontay Johnson. Okay, so of those available, Juwan Jennings is number 1 and Deontay Johnson is number 2. As for your next question, PPR, and do you like Josh Downs or Jordan Whittington rest of season? Rest of season value, Josh Downs. As of the potential for the next short term of potential, considering, again, Puka and Cup injury, it would be Whittington. But yeah, rest of season, I think Josh Downs is probably more valuable. Okay, let's see here. Value for BTJ. Want to make bench space for when Brooks comes off IR. Look, that's the thing. Like, okay, so you want to get value from BTJ, Vowed, but here's the issue. Like, it should just be a 2 for 2. It should be Olave, and Neighbors for Evans and Pollard. That should be the straight trade. If you wanted to make bench room, then you just don't even need Charbonnet. You just trade in 3 for 2, and then you open up a bench spot with doing so, you know? Carr or Dak this week, says Aiden. Let me check my rankings. I have Carr and Dak back-to-back in my rankings. Dak slightly ahead, though. Should I start Aaron Jones and Zamir White? I'm leaning towards playing Zamir White. God's Gang sends in a question, says, are you worried about the D-line of the Vikings when it comes to Akers? Also, could play Higgins in the flex. Okay, so here's the deal. What I'm thinking about, so when I think about Akers, I think about the potential which he's going to get himself enough opportunity, whether it's between the 20s or in the red zone, specifically on the goal line, to where he is in line for probably somewhere between 15 to 16, if not more touches. That kind of volume of opportunity is so valuable for fantasy that I cannot give it up for the potential of Higgins, who in his potential replacement is a guy that's playing on Monday, coming off a hamstring, first game of the season. Yes, it's a great matchup, but they may not have him at a full capacity. Now, they could go ahead and run him at a full capacity, but I don't want to take that risk per se, when you have an option like Akers available. That's the only thing. Should I sell high on Jordan Mason? My running backs are Josh Jacobs and Gibbs. Yes, you should. Isaiah Everett. Do me a favor. Go to the Christian McCaffrey owner, knock on their door, physically drive to their house, knock on their door, and make sure that they give you some sort of value for Jordan Mason. You want to trade for it now, or otherwise, the only other alternative option is that you take your Josh Jacobs or Gibbs and you trade that for Christian McCaffrey right now in order to ensure that you have that backfield the rest of the season. But again, typically I want to trade him away. David Montgomery and McLaurin for Kenneth Walker. No, I honestly think Kenneth Walker, David Montgomery have very similar-ish value rest of the season, but I'd only ever make that trade, Martin, if you have Charbonnet as a backup for Kenneth Walker. Otherwise, it's not worth it. All right, going back to Valorant Films question. I want to make some upgrades at wide receiver. I like Charbonnet's value and getting an extra RB unless you think BTJ is worth keeping. Look, here's the thing about Charbonnet. He is just a handcuff. He does not have independent value. I'd rather keep BTJ if you can. And if you're just going to make a 2 for 2, make a 2 for 2 and move on from that. But yeah, I'd rather just, I don't need Charbonnet unless I have Kenneth Walker. That's literally the way I see it. Okay, let's see here. Scrolling down, the real Franklin sends in a question. There wasn't anything attached to it, Franklin, but hopefully you type it in the live chat. Appreciate it. Let's see here. Forsaken V12 says, half PPR drop Sutton or Pittman for downs. I'd keep them both. I don't want downs. Not compared to those two. Ridley or Cooper this week? Probably Ridley. 18-man full PPR, Carson Steele or Juszczyk? Good one. I'd play Carson Steele there. I could justify the idea of playing Juszczyk in the absence of all these other players, but yeah, Carson Steele would get the start there. Let's see here. In both full PPR, half PPR, Anthony Richardson or Derek Carr? I'd probably play Anthony Richardson. I think there's just more upside there. If you wanted to play Derek Carr, I understand it. I get it. He's played extremely well as of late. And, I mean, he's played just as good as any other quarterback in the league. So at this point, I could definitely understand trying to stay away from the quarterback that throws 3 picks in 1 week. Obviously, one of those interceptions last week was the Hail Mary at the end of the game. But anyway, I'd play Richardson if it was my team. Hey, Andrew, saw hidden gems, Ferguson or Kyle Pitts? I'd play Kyle Pitts. The matchup for Kyle Pitts is the best one of the week. Kansas City allows 23.5 fantasy points per game to opposing tight ends thus far this season. That is correct. That is a legitimate stat. Pretty crazy, right? So yeah, in this circumstance, we are absolutely firing up the one and only Kyle Pitts. Thank you. Okay, let's go ahead and close a couple of these tabs. I did mention earlier that I wanted to go ahead and put together a couple pick'em slips via Underdog Fantasy. So again, let's go ahead and do that right now. For those of you who are interested in potentially trailing, whatever the heck the jargon is, you can still take advantage of the over. You know, I put in a pick'em slip with this already. I guess I get it again. Wait, how is that possible? Wait, live pick'ems. I already put it in a slip. Okay, anyway, so these are the slips that I put together this weekend, right? So obviously, Devon Achane, higher than 3.5 receiving yards. I like that. Barkley, because of the vulture protection. If he doesn't score a touchdown and Jalen Hurts does, you get your money back on this flip. But Jamar Chase, anytime touchdown. Ayuk, higher on receiving yards. 0.5 total yards for CeeDee Lamb. This one is an Omega Magoose, but we'll talk about that later. That's something for Sunday morning. That is completely, listen, we're going to talk about that later. But otherwise, in terms of potential plays, right? Like, theoretically, Alvin Kamara coming off of a 4-touchdown week, should be a pretty solid play, right? That's why he's at a 0.76 in this circumstance. But let's just go ahead and let's change this to NFL real quick. Let's see what we can find here. Some of the better plays that, okay, so like for example, Freiermuth, okay, higher, we'll take higher on that. That's easy. He's had 4 receptions each of the last 2 weeks, and on top of it, if I'm not mistaken, let me go ahead and cross-reference. Let's go ahead and change this. The Chargers have allowed the 4th most receptions to opposing tight ends this season. So Freiermuth, in this circumstance, beautiful, we'll take it. Another play that I like is Bo Nix in here. We'll take Bo Nix going higher on his passing yards. Again, he's going to have to throw for the entirety of that game. There's really no question of the matter. Last week, obviously, had himself a very difficult matchup against that great secondary of the Pittsburgh Steelers. I think there's a huge downgrade going against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, so I think Bo Nix is probably a good option. You know, honestly, let's get rid of this right now. Let's just play with these for right now. These are players that, again, are kind of out there. Kind of out there. The other plays that I theoretically like, let's go scroll down here. If any of you guys have a potential play in the live chat and want to suggest it to me, I don't mind throwing it into my slip. Just let me know and I'll throw it in there. While I go ahead and do this, I do see there's a couple questions sent in, so let me go ahead and answer it. The Real Franklin says, in a full PPR, I'm very worried about Laporta. I have Ferguson on my bench. What do you think? Nope, play Laporta. Thank you. OJ Running says, keep for the season, PPR, Moss, Swift, or Zamir White. Rest of season, who am I keeping? Very much so, all 3 of them have to earn a roster spot on your team. I'm obviously between the 3 of them, probably going to play either Moss or White, probably leaning towards the direction of playing Zamir White in this circumstance. But as of right now, they're going to have to earn it this week and going forward. I don't know if I can objectively say right now who I'd rather keep out of the 3. Let's see here. First down, sends in a question. It says, Dak, Waddle, Shakir, over Richardson, Cook, should I accept? I'd rather have Richardson and Cook. Thank you. Rome over 38.5. Trust me, says Philippos. Achberes, listen here, brother. If we're going to be in a situation where you sell me down the drain with a Rome Odunze 38.5, okay, I am not going to be upset because literally I'm only putting $10 in it. I don't have an issue with it. That's fine. Okay. It's only 35.5. Okay, listen, here's the thing. Rome has done nothing. Look at this. He's done nothing. How am I supposed to trust this guy? But hey, you know what? Okay, that's fine. I hear you out. That's fine. We'll put it together. Jamar Chase over receptions. Cool. That sounds good to me as well. Chase. Look, here's the thing. I can get that number to 5.5 if I use my phone. If I use my phone, I can get it to 9.5 or 5.5. But 7.5, 7's a number, man. 7's a number. I don't know if How do we feel about Najee Harris or Akers this week? Najee Harris, if he scores a touchdown, we are golden, Pony Boy. But the issue is, I don't know if they can technically get him into the end zone. We'll hope, but we'll see. Rome's going to ball out. Listen, guys, from your mouths to the fantasy gods' ears, please, I hope you're right. I hope you guys are absolutely accurate. Do I hold the Texans defense rest of the season, or do I pick up the Chiefs or Seattle? I'd rather have. Well, actually, Texans defense pretty solid. I don't have an issue holding them rest of the season. Okay, look. Here's the thing. Let me go to my phone. Let me see if I can get it at 5.5. If I can get it at 5.5, I'll put it in on my phone. 1 second. So let's go to Underdog app. So what do we have so far? We have Freiermuth, we have Bo Nix, we have Rome Odunze. I'm gonna see if I can. Let me see if I can change Jamar Chase. Can I change it to 5.5? I can. I'm going to. I'd rather take the 1 reception advantage there. So then we'll go ahead. I'm taking the Rome play. That's fine. I will trust. What can I move that down to? I can't move it down. Moving on. We'll take the higher on that. And then again, I like Freiermuth personally. Freiermuth looking good at 2.5 receptions. Beautiful. And then, again, Freiermuth, probably one of the safer plays. 4 receptions each of the last 2 weeks. Additionally, Chargers top 4 in terms of tight end receptions allowed. They played against Bowers in week 1, and then most recently in week 2 against the Panthers. And whenever a Panthers wide receiver is finding success against you, you know that you can't cover tight ends, right? Cool. And then Bo Nix. Can I type in Nix into this? Thank you. We'll take the higher on his passing yards. I mean, again, if they're going to throw the ball 40 plus times, 140 passing yards is within the realm of possibility. Okay, so I was able to put that together. That's 4 legs. That's not bad. I'm going to put $10 on that. And 10 turning into 63.70. Boom. So then if I go to my live plays, it's right there. Boom. Okay. So there it is. That's the play. Pick up my Ayuk. I already did. Listen, I have Ayuk in this one right here, going higher than 72.5 receiving yards. So don't worry. I'm all in on it. I'm all in. All right. Again, guys, if you want to take advantage of potentially some of these plays, you can do so via Underdog Fantasy. Again, I appreciate y'all supporting the channel using code Andrew. That is greatly appreciated. It continues to help support and let this business run. Rome's going to sell you. I don't care. $10. I mean, what's the, you know what I mean? Like with the volume of inflation that exists right now, $10 is literally a McChicken. So I mean, like, what are we talking about? Maybe 2 McChickens. I don't know. I'll live without a couple McChickens. I got to lose weight anyway. Anyway, we'll cover that. We'll go ahead and we'll swap back and continue answering questions. I appreciate y'all contributing in that regard. Let's get into answering more of these questions, shall we? There were a couple super chats sent in, so I want to address those first and foremost. We had one from Thomas. Thank you very much, Thomas. Thomas says, start Achane and Jacobs or start Rachaad White. At this point, yeah, Achane and Jacobs would be your starts. I'd potentially, you could potentially flex Rachaad White, but ultimately, no, I'm going to play Achane and Jacobs over him. Big Cat sends in a question, says PPR Gesicki, Jonnu Smith, or Brenton Strange. Gesicki's probably the safest of the bunch as it currently stands. Brandon Cooks or Brian Thomas Jr. I'd probably play Brandon Cooks there. I'm afraid of Brian Thomas in that matchup. Nathan J says in a non-PPR, Shakir or Waddle. In a non-PPR, so just touchdown upside in itself. I'd hope that Waddle can maybe do something. We'll go with Waddle there. Akers or Brian Robinson. I'd go with Brian Robinson. Thank you, Nathan J. Appreciate it. Okay. Catching up slowly but surely. Again, guys, there's about 15 minutes left in the stream. I do appreciate y'all coming through, supporting the channel by clicking the like button, supporting via just being here, being present on Saturday. I greatly appreciate that. So again, tomorrow morning, I will be back at 7 a.m. until 10 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. So if you guys have any questions, you can swing on then. Or you can go, of course, sign up using code Andrew via Underdog Fantasy. You get my rankings tomorrow morning sent to you from my email directly to yours. The email will typically be sent out around 5 a.m. So make sure you check your spam folder just in case if you're getting it for the first time. Side Night said, "I'll buy you a McChicken, Andrew." And no, trust me, I don't want it. We're good, brother. And then you can also check out Patreon where you can find rankings there. I appreciate y'all. Thank you. I'll buy you a McChicken. It was just an analogy, brother. I'm just trying to say, like, prices have gone up, okay? $10 is, it's a lot, but still, I'm willing to take the risk. Again, I'm the guy who literally, listen, I'm the guy who has literally in the last couple days put in multiple slips for $1,000, okay? I won on week 1. I lost in week 2. I'm broke even on that, even. This week, I go back for another $1,000, okay? And it's on the shoulders of Devon Achane. Okay, so anyway. Mark, yes, I'm going to hold the Texans defense there. Rowan says, hey, Andrew, in a full PPR, have flex, wide receiver free. And Higgins, Cooper, Eckler. Okay, so flex and wide receiver. Of the available options you have, I'll take Higgins and Cooper there pretty happily. Thank you. Tevin, the money 21 says, pick 2, Andrew. At least one running back. Rachaad White, Brian Robinson, Wando. Okay, so of the available that you have, I'm playing both the running backs. Give me Brian Robinson and Rachaad White there. Tevin, thank you. Okay, let's see here. Matthew Vincent says, need one. Ryan Thomas, Mooney, or P. Ryan? Brother. Really good question. I would like to answer that tomorrow morning. I don't know if I can answer that off the top of my head right now. That's going to be a lot of calculation and speculation off my part. I plead the fifth on that one. Let's see here. London for Pollard. Does the trade make sense? Yes, it makes sense. I don't have an issue with that. Aaron Jones or Swift? We'll play Aaron Jones, Derek. Cooper or Neighbors at that? Jeez Louise. I'd probably play Neighbors out of ego, but that's just out of ego. Menamento 99 says, I have Zamir White as my RB2 behind Gibbs and Javonte, P. Ryan, Brooks on my bench. Do you think I'll be okay with the rest of the season? Yeah, I don't know if you'll be okay the rest of the season. I think once you get Jonathan Brooks back, you'll be fine. But until then, again, you're still going to have to play matchups between Javonte and Zamir on a weekly basis. Andrew, what are your favorite buy low candidates? Listen, interestingly enough, we had a video earlier this week on that exact topic, which is crazy. You'd think, man, how could this guy keep doing it, right? Like, how does he keep predicting what people want to watch or what they're going to ask? Okay, let's see here. Where was my buy low video? Buy low. This is the thumbnail. You see this? This one right here, earlier this week, posted on the channel. Go check that out. Thank you very much. Other than that, let's go ahead and I need to default back to my other hidden gems. Boom, there it is. Okay, changed it. Good to go. Stroud or Baker this week? I'll take, that's a good one. I'd probably still lean with Stroud at this point. Najee Harris against the Chargers, Javonte versus the Bucks without Vita Vea. Yeah, Vita Vea being absent definitely helps, but I'd probably still lean. Well, look, it's a matter of touchdown upside. Like, really, Javonte Williams isn't going to do much on the ground because, again, they're going to be in a negative game script. He will be a receiving threat, but would I rather have the 20-plus potential touches that Najee Harris is going to have and the potential for a touchdown? I honestly think I'd rather just take Najee in that scenario. Let's see here. Kyron Williams and DJ Moore for Dobbins and Pittman. I'd rather have Kyron's and DJ Moore rest of the season there. LTUDO6. Derek E says, give Devontae Adams for Josh Jacobs. Is that a good trade or not? Yeah, I'll take Josh Jacobs there. I don't have an issue with that at all. Again, if you need the running back depth, that's a great move. Pick 2, Ford, Akers, Diggs. I'll take Akers and Diggs there, Gabe. Kennedy says, PPR. Should I start Dobbins or Higgins? I'd play Dobbins there. I don't have an issue with that. Brian Colorado says, last flex spot, PPR. Do I start Pitts or Montgomery? I have Bowers. Oh, man, Brian, I got to think about that. That one hurts my soul. Oh, gosh. That one's tough. That is not an easy answer. I got to think about that, actually. Do I rather play Pitts or Montgomery? Jorge Perez sent in a super chat. There wasn't anything attached. Jorge, let me get to that right now. Jorge Perez. RB1 is Kamara. That's all I see in the live chat. Jorge, is there anything else? Jorge, do me a favor, type in the live chat. Appreciate it. Do I rather play Pitts or Montgomery in a full PPR? I believe the matchup for tight ends against Kansas City to be so easy that it is a Pitts play in a full PPR. Thank you. Nico Collins for Christian McCaffrey. If you have Jordan Mason, I could justify it. Yes, if you have Jordan Mason, I could justify it. Only if you have Jordan Mason. Drop Jalen Wright or Blake Corum for Cam Akers as a bench stash. If I'm going to drop one of the two, I'd probably rather drop Jalen Wright. Again, there's a lot of roadblocks for Jalen Wright to get actualization in this backfield. Achane, Mostert, Jeff Wilson, then Jalen Wright, which Corum is just one step away. Let's see here. Jerome Hill sends in a question. Thank you, Jerome. PPR, running back in a flex. We have Ford, Henry, Moore, pick 2. When you say Henry, are you referring to Derrick Henry? Because if you are, it's Derrick Henry as your RB and DJ Moore as your flex. Thank you. Because I don't know what other Henrys there are. It's like Hunter Henry, who already played, though. Hey, Andrew, do you think J.K. Dobbins can keep up the efficiency? No. Listen, brother, he's averaging 9.8 yards per carry. There's no shot he keeps that up. So, yeah, there's no shot. He's not going to be as efficient as he has normally been. TG says, pick 3, Neighbors, Bowers, JMO, Dell, Metcalf. Out of those available options, I'd probably go with JMO, Metcalf, and Bowers. Pretty risky not playing Neighbors there, but I'm okay with it. Sell high on J.K. Dobbins? Absolutely yes. Yes. Unless you need him. Like, if you need a running back and you're not going to get running back in return, then you keep it as such. Flex, Moss, Worthy, or Shakir? I'd probably just play Moss there pretty happily as well. Connor or Charbonnet and a half PPR? I think it's kind of hard not to play Connor. He's just played so well, but I don't like the Detroit Lions matchup. If it's me, I'd probably go with Charbonnet in this circumstance. Charbonnet was great last week. Obviously, he wasn't efficient in the running game, but he found himself in the end zone, got himself a couple sprinkles within the receiving game. Those are pretty good. Shelby says, in Chiefs or Buccaneers defense? Bucks don't seem to get to put up points, but it's a great matchup. Yeah, listen, I have the Bucks really. I mean, look, here's the thing. The last 2 weeks, Denver has given up, I think, double-digit points to both the defenses that they've played against. So I'm week 1 was Seattle, week 2 was Pittsburgh. I'm pretty comfortable rolling with Tampa Bay there this week. I don't have an issue with that at all. Thank you for the question. Appreciate it. All right. How's it going, man? Start Burrow or Stroud, says Meat Slayer. Meat Slayer, I would play Burrow this week, legitimately. Stephen Drake sends in a super chat. Thank you, Stephen. Stephen says the following. In a half PPR, I need 3. I have Akers, Ford, Charbonnet, Montgomery, Derrick Henry. Okay, so of those available options, Derrick Henry has to start, Charbonnet, and Montgomery also. So those are the 3 that you play this week. As for your follow-up, also, Murray or Hurts this week. I think I'm comfortable playing both, but if I'm in your position after what Murray just did, I am trading him right now, and I'm playing Jalen Hurts rest of the season. So, yeah. Look, if you're worried about Jalen Hurts, the rushing upside that he has is so freaking valuable on top of the fact that he has the rushing touchdown ability that very many other quarterbacks do not possess. So in this scenario, you may be nervous about no A.J. Brown. I'm comfortable with Jalen Hurts every week, rest of the season, no matter what. So if you want, you can play Murray, but once you start benching Hurts, you got to start looking to trade him because you don't need to have both those great quarterbacks on roster. HCF says, trade Garrett Wilson and Dobbins for Jacobs and Olave. Yeah, I don't have an issue with that. That sounds like a good trade to me. Coolest nerd ever says, Dalton Kincaid or Jake Ferguson. I'll take Jake Ferguson there. Thank you. Would you drop Christian Kirk for a Dunze or Shakir? No, I would not. Though, okay, look, if you're going to pick up a Dunze, you're waiting for the late-term potential of later down in the line, he finds value. As of right now, I'd rather just have Christian Kirk because I know he's the more talented wide receiver. I just know that the offense has been playing terribly, and they'll figure it out. Again, now they have a full week of practice in the absence of Evan Ingram. They know for a fact that he's not going to play. We should see a lot more usage from Christian Kirk in the slot position. Hopefully, more than 1 reception per game. Hopefully. Freiermuth or Parkinson, I'd probably lean towards playing Freiermuth there. Dobbins and London for JT and Neighbors. Yeah, give me JT and Neighbors 10 times out of 10 there, Matt Davis. Abso-freaking-lutely. Frenzy 40K says full PPR, 1 wide receiver, 1 and 2 flex. We have Mike Evans, we have Higgins, we have J-Mo, we have Ford, we have Akers. Yeah, listen, in this position, in a full PPR, Frenzy, you're very comfortable playing your wide receivers. So Mike Evans, J-Mo, and probably Higgins in this scenario. Thank you. Craig's List sends in a question, says, start London or J-Mo? Opponent has St. Brown. I mean, I think regardless of what your opponent has, you just have to play your best players in these circumstances. As of right now, Jameson Williams is probably the better of the two if I had to pick. Thank you. Okay, I need to find Jorge Perez's question before we close out the live stream. Jorge Perez says, hey, Andrew, in a full PPR, I need 1 running back and 1 flex. We have Mason, Kyron, Sharbs, Chase Brown. Also, okay, so it's very simple. You play Mason, you play Kyron, you're good to go. Thank you very much. Appreciate it. As for your follow-up question, my kicker is Jason Sanders. Should I keep him or hit the waivers? Absolutely hit the waivers. Let me just go ahead and read my top 12 kicker rankings as it currently stands for this week. Kaimi Fairbairn, number 1. Brandon Aubrey, number 2. Justin Tucker, 3. Harrison Butker, 4. Chase McLaughlin, number 5. Blake Grupe, 6. Cairo Santos, 7. Dustin Hopkins, 8. Jake Moody, 9. Jake Bates, 10. Jason Myers, 11. Matt Prater, 12. Jake Elliott, 13. Thank you very much. Lucky number 13. Appreciate it. Okay, I think we're good to go there. All right, so a couple more questions. Then, again, I'm bowing out. Got places to be, people to see. I appreciate y'all supporting the channel. Again, I'll be back tomorrow morning. Start Akers or Cooper. If it's a full PPR, I'd be okay with playing Cooper there. Otherwise, I think you just have to play Akers. Start 49ers defense or Raiders defense this week. I have the 49ers slightly ahead of the Raiders. Playing Higgins or should I play Dowdle? No, play Higgins. Thank you. Half PPR, I need 2. Najee Harris, Aaron Jones, T. Higgins. In a half PPR, at that point, I'd probably just go with Higgins and Jones. Start 2, Swift, Akers, McLaurin. I'd probably go with Akers and... I'd probably go Akers and Swift. I don't know if I can trust McLaurin, man. Nah, fuck it. Let's go Akers and McLaurin. I know that the coach, the offensive coordinator of the Washington Commanders, somebody asked him, like, hey, Terry McLaurin hasn't done anything. He's like, yeah, it's my responsibility to put him in position to succeed. So hopefully they're going to put him in a position to succeed this week. He'll wake up. Andrew, do you have defensive rankings? Yes, tomorrow morning. Show up at 7 a.m. to 10 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. It'll be on screen. Like, it'll be literally around me in this area. Thank you. Montgomery or Cooper? Montgomery. For sure. Ando says Puka or for Josh Jacobs or Derrick Henry. Yeah, I don't care. Either of the two. Whichever one you get Ando, you're good to go. All right, guys. That's what I'm going to call it. I appreciate y'all. I'm going to cue the music. Again, I'll be back tomorrow morning. And that'll be it. Enjoy the rest of your wonderful Saturday. Don't stress too much about fantasy. Again, we'll settle it all tomorrow morning and we'll be in a good position. All right, guys. Have a good one. Cue in the music, the double helix. And until next time, I'll see you guys. Peace.